Get going, lad. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Bandit Racing League. It has been a long off season, but we returned for Season 10 of the Bandit Racing League here live on the Full Send Racing Network. You will notice some cars zooming by there in the background. We are midway through the second of our 2 qualifying heat races for tonight, but we will just be covering the actual racing action itself. So for the time being, we will be just keeping up with that as we get to it in just a few moments. But for the time being, we have a series to introduce. We are back. The Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series begins now, and what a season we are in for. After Season 9 in the trucks, a lot of drivers by the end of the season were saying they were really looking for some cars that were harder to drive, higher horsepower, and they will get their wish. Here we are back in the Xfinity car, ready to get another great season of the Bandit Racing League started. Well, there is the logo, the Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series. And Geezer Authentics will be the sponsor of tonight's race here at Daytona for 100 laps in our season opener, as we always run it at the Daytona track that, well, hosts pretty much every season of every major NASCAR series. Its very first race, and quite fittingly so, it is a great track with lots of great storylines, and we will tell you more about both them and Geezer Authentics, I should say, over the course of the broadcast. But before we get too far into tonight, well, we got to give ourselves a bit of an intro here, and by ourselves, I mean myself and my fellow co-host, Mr. Evan Wall. But first of all, hi everybody. I am, as always, your host for the evening, or your host for any Full Send Racing Network or Bandit Racing League related coverage. I am Marshall Crocker Jr. back this week, and I am, again, so excited to be back in this series. It's been a long off season. I've had some broadcast coverage and stuff that I've been working on over the winter months, but to be back in this series, hear all the voices again, see all the familiar faces. It is so exciting, and I sincerely hope you guys are as excited to get started tonight as I am. But, well, we're going to throw the footage up there in the background just so you guys can see the race as it progresses. For whatever reason, the top list is not showing you the current results, but we will see if we can get that reset. But alongside us in the broadcast booth, we have a guy that, well, joined us for a number of races last season, was the former full-time broadcaster of this series. He is the guy who does all the great visuals for this series, and thus we cannot thank him enough. But he is back in the broadcast booth with us tonight, and he has been here for a number of Bandit Racing League season openers at Daytona. Evan, what's it like to be back, man? And as we see a wreck there in the background in the practice races we speak, what sort of things can you be sure are going to happen in a race like Daytona where really anything feels like it can happen?
Where it feels like anything can happen, just like you said. Well, you just saw one of the things that's going to happen. Those guys wrecking going through the tri-oval, that's definitely a thing that I'm sure we'll see a good bit of here at Daytona. I don't think too much. It seems like we got a nice, good, clean group of guys, but we've got a lot of guys, and that's the thing. When you have a lot of drivers out here battling for position, especially once it gets to the end of the race here, it's a big race. This is an iRacing League race. It's not like it's the Daytona 500, so I'm not going to say that it is like that, but anytime you get competitive drivers like this out on any track, whether it be in real life or here on iRacing, it's going to be really competitive, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and I think tonight is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
I sincerely believe you're right, and genuinely, these season opening races can create so many fun storylines. We've seen in the last couple of years some really competitive races that have had a little bit of chaos, a little bit of controversy at the end, but a little bit of both those things never hurt anybody. So let's before we get too far here, again, we are now in the final lap of this warm-up qualifying heat. Then we got to get in your results and your starting lineup for tonight's event here, the season opener at Daytona. And just a heads up, and kind of in reference to the entire broadcast tonight, these season opening broadcasts, they're always a little bit different. You're gonna see some trial and error a little bit. You're gonna see, I'm sure, at some point some slip ups, some mishaps. Maybe not everything is loaded as we see the finish as we speak. I believe it is the 88 car of Michael Campbell who has taken the win in the second heat. So he and 8 other drivers will make it on to the feature race tonight. But no, as I was saying, you're going to see some stuff tonight. There might be some slip-ups. The format's going to be a little bit different. The season opening race is always like this, and I promise you it's going to be a really fun night tonight. But if you see anything tonight that looks a little bit out of place, I am certain it will be fixed in the future. But tonight's race is the Geezer Authentics 100 here at Daytona. And we want to just tell you a little bit about Geezer Authentics and what it is. And it's something that I think is going to intrigue and be interesting to any of you Bandit Racing League fans, because Geezer Authentics is our sort of merch brand here for the Bandit Racing League. For those of you that have heard our merch talks in the past, we've talked about it before and all the great stuff we have here on our website. But go to geezerauthentics.com. The link is in the description, as always, down below the broadcast here. And that is where you can go check out everything we have to offer and some really cool stuff there at Geezer Authentics. So if you want some specialty driver merch, stuff for Kevin Foster, Cody Welch, Nick Nickerson, and a number of drivers that we're adding on each and every week, that is where you could go for them. Specifically, we got some general Bandit Racing League t-shirts. We got some cool stuff like drinkware. We've got some phone cases, all number of things. Genuinely, there's so much cool stuff to go check out. We're just scratching the surface there with what we're showing on the on that little video there. So genuinely, so much cool stuff. I cannot recommend it enough. That you go check it out. But here we go. Your starting lineup for tonight's race here at Daytona. The proper feature race is set, so we need to hop back over and give you all the details for the rundown tonight. And tonight's rundown is sponsored, as it will be all season, as we see some cars just heading out. I think we're going to have a bit of a warm-up session before we get into the proper starting grid sort of things. But yeah, we're going to do, I think, a 5-minute warm-up. So it'll just be a couple minutes, so we got a few more minutes to talk here. But yeah, what a feeling it is to be back here in this series. And well, we can talk a little bit while we're here, while we wait. Let's talk about some drivers, Evan, that, well, you and I both know had some very good seasons last year, and some that ended in, well, I think the best way possible with a championship for a certain driver, but for some others, it was an overall very successful season, even if it didn't end exactly the way they wanted it to. But first of all, I think it's only right that we start off by showing you the man who puts it all together, the guy that kind of coordinates this entire series, without whom none of this would be possible. Nothing Bandit Racing League related. The series wouldn't have been founded, and of course it wouldn't be nearly as exciting as it is today. Bill Harkins, driver of the number 11. There he is, just leaving the pits now. So clearly he is one of the drivers that has made it through to tonight's race through the qualifying procedures earlier, and then the 2 heat races that we just finished up, each of which selected the final drivers of our field. But Bill Harkins, as always, we want to give him a sincere thank you right off the top for everything he does. Aside from that, I'm looking for some of our top guys, some of our championship contenders, and there would be one of them. Evan, this is a guy we know very well, a guy who did not win the championship last season in the Bandit Racing League Season 9 back in the trucks, though he did come very darn close and is no doubt going to be on pace for somewhere in the ballpark of 5 to 10 wins this season, if we know him well. Mr. Nick Nickerson, driver of the number 2 car. We'll try to find a better angle there, but we know Evan from years past and from really season 7 on of this league. Nick Nickerson, for all his talent, all his abilities, these super speedway races just don't seem to be ones that usually pay off quite as well for him. I know it's a very tricky discipline where you could argue it's a lot more about luck and trying to put yourself in the right spot than skill, but he has never made it to the top step.
That right there, what just happened, is one of the reasons why Nick always has trouble here, because you never know what's going to happen there. You see, he just got into an accident right there.
Exactly, and that's really the tough part, and it's all about, like I just said, positioning, and that's a very important aspect, trying to put yourself in a favorable spot where you can stay out of wrecks, and oftentimes that is at the front of the field, and I know Nick and a number of other top drivers have sort of taken that tactic in the past, but it's really, really tough to predict where the wreck is going to happen, mid-pack, front of the pack, back of the pack, and it's such a, I don't want to say random, because it does definitely take a skill set here to win at super speedway races, but it's one that Nick has not done in the past, and I think it's probably one of the only tracks in the entire calendar that maybe he doesn't feel that confidence that he could consistently get a top 5 or a top 10 at. But aside from that, I'm looking for our former series champion, and there he is. He's a little bit far off in the distance there. He's just kind of running by himself, getting set up for tonight. But the 0-4 of Brett Guzik, he was the Season 9 champion of the Bandit Racing League last season in the Geezer Authentics Truck Series. And, well, what a championship run he had. Kind of the really the Cinderella story was going to be for anybody that wasn't Nick Nickerson to win the title, but Brett absolutely capitalized in the clutch races when he needed to. He won a very difficult dirt race, I believe, at Eldora towards the end of the season to punch his ticket into the round of 8. Then from the round of 8, pretty comfortably made it into the round of 4, and then he capitalized on the races he needed to and became your series champion. So it's so great to see Brett back. He is chilling in the pits as we speak, kind of hiding there. But he and any of the other top drivers, like a Nick Nickerson, like a Cody Welch, who I know is a fan favorite, got to mention him before too long. There is the driver of the number 85, the Flushing, Michigan native. Guys like that are very favorable drivers, are extremely talented, but they're really just going to be going for any points they possibly can tonight. We actually do have a season regular season championship. For the driver that comes out of the regular season into the playoffs with the most points. We do have a prize for them this year, courtesy of one of our title sponsors, Perfect Shine Auto Spa. And speaking of our sponsors, we'll just take a quick moment here to thank everybody that makes this series possible. First of all, of course, iRacing for providing us the sim on which we race in this series. Geezer Authentics, we've already talked about, tonight's race sponsor. They are the brand created and founded by Bill Harkins that makes all of our awesome merch and all the great stuff you guys can buy at home for the Bandit Racing League, as well as Apex Sim Racing, a new partner of the series this year. We sincerely thank them for signing on and working with us, and for some great sim racing equipment, from button boxes to premium-made steering wheels, everything in between. Some wheelbases and stuff like that. They make so much great stuff, and if you use promo code BANDIT, you can save yourself some money on some really, really cool stuff. So the link down there is in the description. Remember, use code BANDIT at checkout to receive a deal off of your purchase. And it's so cool that we have them working with us. And for somebody who's going to try to upgrade to sim rig over the coming year, definitely somewhere I'm going to be looking for sure. That also, Perfect Shine Auto Spot, we want to thank them on behalf of Kevin Foster. As always, a huge supporter of the series. Of course, Full Send Racing Network, you see that down there on the screen. That is, of course, the channel that will be covering the Bandit Racing League for the entirety of this season. And, of course, EvanWallMedia.com. Evan Wall himself, who makes all of our awesome graphics and makes the series look as polished as it does. But we're just getting ready to go. I believe the end of this warm-up session is going to happen in 3 minutes. So 9:15, we will officially go to the starting grid for tonight's race here. But just in general, Evan, we go back to the Xfinity cars. We were in these cars, it was 2 seasons ago, back for Season 8 of the Bandit Racing League. We come back, and comparatively to the trucks, these are much higher horsepower, arguably harder to drive. They definitely have some understeer problems at times, but the back end can also jump around quite a bit. Do you think this is a season that is going to favor maybe the more skilled, more experienced drivers rather than somebody new coming in trying to figure the car out for the first time?
I do. That is one thing about these cars, and one thing that I think makes these cars a little bit more fun to watch is that they're harder to drive. Anytime a car is harder to drive, it's going to be more fun to watch. There's going to be guys on the edge more. That slight little edge with the trucks, you can push it a little bit too far and you can be okay. But with these Xfinity cars, you push a little bit too far and you're going to start to go around. You're going to have to either make a save or you're bringing out a caution. And that's one of the things that I really like watching. And I feel like most people probably really like watching as well. It adds that little bit of action. It's a lot more fun to watch. And see, we've got a couple cars on track right now, and where the trucks would be a lot, just a lot easier to drive. The Xfinity cars aren't as much, and it looks like we've got somebody special here in the broadcast booth with us.
Hey, gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and grid here in about a minute or two. Just give you a heads up for the broadcast.
Perfect.
And,
that is our
welcome to Season 10, guys. Let's have a good season, and I'm happy to get this rolling again. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Our very own Bill Harkins, we were just talking about a moment ago, and we are getting ready to grid in just a moment. So best of luck there, Bill, tonight, and let's start the season off with a bang.
Will do. Thank you, guys.
There you go. So sounds like we are ready to go in just a moment. We got the starting grid whenever we are ready to go here, and again, these drivers just taking a couple laps here, getting up to speed, trying to get used to the car and used to the handling model, and of course, trying to run in a pack. Bump drafting going to be kind of the story of the race tonight. You were going to see cars running in a way that they probably won't the entire rest of the season, aside from our one race later in the year at Talladega. So guys really going to try to get to terms with the car, get to terms with those around them. And actually, we have a new feature in the series this season, Evan. We have a kind of a, well, not official championship there. We're not going to be awarding points, and we won't be awarding a team's title, but we do have kind of a team dynamic added to the series this season where drivers will enter themselves as part of an official team that they talk in the same channel, they communicate together, and as a result, they are able to work together aside from just the default of some other driver you find on track. So we'll be talking about the teams as we go along. The most notable in the past was GFR Racing, made up of Nick Nickerson and Kevin Foster, who have now added, series former champion Ricky Hart Jr. So what a talented group that is going to be. But let's go. Let's show you the starting grid for tonight's race. We can get into it in just a moment. Hopefully this is properly updated there. So there we go. I believe that is correct. And on the pole for tonight's race, I believe the first of his career, the first at least that I've seen of him in my time in the series, and that has been 3 years. That is Mr. Eddie Hagge will be taking the pole tonight, driver of the number 97. Let's get a better camera here to watch him as he rolls off. But it'll be Eddie Hagge on the front row alongside David Lakey. Row number 2, Trey Ellis lines up alongside Tony Hilbrands. Jacob Abreu, I should say. The Rico is the other famous Abreu. Not sure if there's any correlation there between those two gentlemen. But alongside him on the third row, it is Nick Nickerson, again, the former champion. And then Curtis Yancey starts off row number 4 to the inside of defending series champion, Mr. Brett Guzik. Bill Hills alongside Kevin Foster, and another former champion, the only 2-time champion in Bandit Racing League history. And that rounds off your top 10.
Unfortunately, this is one of those hiccups in the first broadcast. I'm not able to see it, so we're going to have to let Marshall go all the way through the field for you guys.
That is a very good point. Thank you, Evan, for reminding me. Yes. Then in 11th position, we got another newcomer, Brett Grunwald, alongside youngster Mason Flagar there for Double M Motorsports. Daniel Stein will start in the 13th spot, rolling off alongside Mr. Benjamin Lacey. Joshua McQuiggan and Garrett Hall make up row number 8. Then it's John Graham starting alongside Co Canales. Benny Hogan and Michael Ramos make up the back end of the top 20. Then after that, we got Nicholas Bingham, another newcomer, alongside Jackson Knock for Double M Motorsports. Connor Zook, and again, the man we just talked to a moment ago, Mr. Bill Harkins, will start alongside one another on row number 12. Then it's Nolan Gross and Keegan Clark, Michael Campbell and Terry Condis after that. Further down the order, we have Presley Gilson, alongside Steve Ulrich there. That rounds out your top 30. Dan Heisey and Kel Zook, 31st and 32nd. Jason Greenwell and Jonas Lazader, 34th and 35th. Sorry, 33rd, 34th. Ricky Hart Jr. again for GFR Racing, new this year, now running the number 1. He starts in the 35th spot. Robert Mathis starts in 36th. Then it's Cody Welch starting at Fairways back there in 37th. Aaron Moore starts in 38th. Ismael Padilla, a newcomer to the series, starts 39th. Jason Rome, I should say, starts in 40th. Then it's Mark Allen Bivens, Charles Oberg, and I believe the final spot in our field, Andrew Zook, and well, Anthony Caetano. So I'm going to say this is not the actual proper race order here, as I don't believe we have that many cars running. No, we do not. It's going to cap off at 42 there with Charles Oberg. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to get started for tonight. That is your starting lineup here at Daytona, and it's going to be Eddie Hagge taking us to green here. Let's get it started. The pace car takes the right-hander off onto pit road. We are ready to go. Green flag at Daytona for the Geezer Authentics 100, the season opener of the Bandit Racing League Season 10 and the Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series. A comfortable jump out front for Eddie Hagge. David Lakey in the second row, not too far behind. And they're going to go side by side, the first time in a turn 1 for lap 1 of 100. Pretty clean so far on the lap. One driver shuffling out into 2 lines there. Nobody jumping up to make it 3. At the moment, it is still Eddie Hagge there sitting on the inside line, but he's been passed by multiple drivers, including your new race leader. Championship 4 contender from last season, Mr. Tony Hilbrands jumps up to the lead spot as we come off of turn number 4 the first time by. Now it'll be Nick Nickerson leading the very first lap, already up 5 spots from the 6th position. They're at the end of qualifying. Then it's Brett Guzik to his outside. So the last 2 champions of the series, and then the 2-time champion and Kevin Foster sitting up there on the outside of row number 2. And like Evan, I'm amazed this early on in this event tonight how many top guys we're seeing, like really big names in the Bandit Racing League, are finding success here early tonight. Backstretch into turn number 3 we go. Again, Nickerson and Guzik still side by side. It's Hilbrands followed by Foster. Then it's David Lakey and Mason Flagar sitting there in the row behind. Aggie and Lacey in the 4th row there. Then it's Stein and Ellis rounding off your top 10. You're going to see a lot of drivers there towards the bottom that are out of the race, but that's just because they were unable to qualify in our qualifying format. At the end of lap number 2, it is still Nickerson and Guzik up front. Kevin Foster there as well. And I think, again, it's really interesting given what you normally expect at a super speedway. You normally expect to see some different faces here, guys, that we really never have before here in the series up quite this high. A lot of our newcomers we expect to see doing quite well at a track like Daytona, but right now it is an all-champion show up there in the top 4. And, well, if you don't include Tony Hilbrands, who's come very close again last season, a playoff 4 contender. So what a start we are off to here. We're seeing some really sweet camera angles here, I hope, and that is courtesy of our new sponsor of the series, Track Cams for Gourmet. They are a new partner of our series. They make custom iRacing cams. The link to all their stuff is down there in the description below, but they'll be providing us some pretty slick new angles here this season. Well, there we go. We're going to be a little bit, the frame rate might be a little bit choppy here at the very beginning. A number of cars this season and still trying to get used to some graphical changes this year. So it'll only improve as the series goes on, but what a start to the race so far. Everybody's staying fairly clean here at the very beginning, as you kind of expect here early on in tonight's race. You know, it's 100 laps, and that's a very long time. As quick as that could go, that could easily go less than an hour and a half if we go green to the end. I assure you it won't. And a lot of guys are just going to try to keep those quick repairs they have. Each driver getting 2 apiece, at least as far as last season. I believe the same is the case with this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how much guys really look to push, and how much guys are, maybe going to sit back a little bit and let some other guys jump in front of them. We're seeing a little bit of movement there actually in the second row. I think that's Mason Flair. That's David Lakey there, driver of the number 84. He was moving around a little bit just a moment ago. Has since kind of worked things back out. The Greenville, Kentucky native sitting alongside Benjamin Lacey up there on the high side. He's still in the top 10. We've lost Evan Wall. He's going through some storm issues out there in Alabama, so hopefully he gets those figured out. Hopefully everything is okay where he is, but we may see him jump back in a few moments, but for the time being, we're going to go back to solo in the broadcast booth. But still up front, it is the 2 GFR Racing teammates following defending series champion Brett Guzik. What a start it has been so far. Here we go as we come to the end of lap number 5. Now 1/20th of the way through tonight's race. Curious to know here, we're going to keep an eye on the chat all the way through tonight. We here at Full Send Racing Network, and on behalf of the Bandit Racing League, love when you guys really get involved, and love when we get some comments from the chat. So if there's anybody here supporting, anybody you're here curious about tonight, any storylines you want to watch out for, or just anything you're really excited to talk about, let us know here in the chat, and we'll discuss it as the race goes on. Always looking to get you guys involved and make this a real community experience. And at the moment, I am extremely impressed. The entire field is within 3.8 seconds of your race leader. Nobody has fallen out of the draft, really. Nobody has wrecked yet. This has been a very impressive start to tonight. And again, this is what we should expect. It's going to be very different than usual. What you'd usually expect here at a race like this, or at least in the Bandit Racing League. We've seen some really, really intense starts in the past. Guys making big sending moves and the lead changing 10 times in the first 5 laps. Tonight, not so much. It's going to be a little bit more chill here at the very beginning. Like I said, guys just trying to settle in. First laps of the season, you don't want to be that guy that causes a massive wreck and wipes out the field early. Again, off of turn number 2 we come. A couple guys that have moved up quite a ways throughout the field. Cody Welch there sitting back in 27th position. He is up 10 spots from 37th there at the very start of the race, settling into kind of a groove behind Jason Greenwell and Bill Harkins. Elsewhere, Jason Rome there, the driver of the number 81 car, currently sitting in 17th. He's up 23 spots. He started second last in the entire field. Now he finds himself all the way up there in 17th, and he's still making some forward progress. So really some guys are figuring out the strategy here in order to make progress up the racetrack, but some guys just haven't. Some guys have kind of settled into a groove so far, and again, I think it doesn't necessarily mean those guys won't succeed later. I think pace really does come down to how you're able to use the draft. And of course, the teammates around you. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but that team aspect that we're batting this season where drivers have official teammates, some as many as 5 or 6, that is going to be huge. And having that team support around you is going to make things so much easier for these guys that maybe don't know people in the series. Some people come in with existing friends. Maybe they're invited by a driver in the series they could work with. Some drivers are actually siblings. Remember the Zooks? They have Zook Family Racing this season. But some guys just don't. Some guys come in fresh and really don't know anybody. So having these predetermined teams that you can really work with and make your life a whole lot easier, it's going to make life so much better for some of these guys. And it already is for guys like a guy like Jacob Abreu, who I don't believe is part of a team affiliation, or if he is, it's just a couple. There's a guy like Nicholas Bingham here, new to the series. They're currently sitting in 14th. He's up 7 spots. So definitely some good progress being made by a couple drivers here throughout the field. There you see Nicholas Bingham, driver of the number 93, that red and blue car you see on your screen. Look at in-car here for him. You really get a sense of just how high the banking is here at Daytona. You can see the steering wheel as he's driving, very subtle movements here, just trying to stay as best he can in the slipstream of that car in front. I believe in this case the 90 of Coe Canales. Doing a good job of it here. And again, everybody's staying fairly calm here off the very start, and that's what we're really looking to see here. We don't want to see anybody doing anything particularly all too crazy, and as of right now, I don't believe we have. Turns over 1 and 2 once again. I'm going to try to go through the field as best I can, really get you guys situated with every new driver in this series, maybe every new paint scheme, because a lot of drivers this season are running different looks. You see Brett Guzik there, that traditional gray number 04 car, as he gets passed on the inside by both Nick Nickerson and Tony Hilbrands. But A slightly different look there for your defending series champions car from the truck from last season. Whoa, that's a wreck! Tony Hilbrand's yellow flag immediately will come out. Brett Guzik flipping over and over right as we go to the close-up. Hilbrand's went down to block to take the lane in front on the very front row, and it just was not there. Yellow flag, a number of cars involved. Your first caution of Season 10 of the Bandit Racing League. There's going to be a lot of stuttering because there are a lot of cars switching position. My telemetry is going nuts right now. Nick Nickerson up front in the number 2 car, the only driver who really made it out of that with any comfort whatsoever. The whole wreck kind of just happened behind him. So for the first time this season, we're going to go to your full send racing replay presented by Apex Sim Racing. Let's get a better handle on exactly what happened there. And, well, I think we have a somewhat of an idea, but got to see the aftermath there of that move by Tony Hilbrand's coming up in front of Kevin Foster. Got to go a ways back here. Like, way, way back there. Just for context here, I have telemetry that tells me when a caution has come out every time a driver passes another driver or multiple cars crash with one another. And let's just say it went absolutely mental there right as that caution came out. So we're going to go to the full send racing replay presented by Apex Sim Racing. This was the perspective of Joshua McQuiggan there, one of the that orange and black car you see center of your screen. So let's go back just a bit to Tony Hilbrand's, where this kind of all got kicked off. So this is coming off of turn number 4. Going to go to, again, the same camera we were using there just a moment ago. That's the purple and green car of Tony Hilbrand's, just comes up, and that little bit of hesitation. You know, there was a moment there where you could tell he was kind of trying to decide whether to come up, whether the opening was there. He hesitated. And if you're going to make a move here at speeds this high, when guys on the outside are going to get runs off the corners like Brett Guzik did, if you wait too long to come up and you get into somebody, that is going to set off a massive chain reaction like we just saw. We're going to go to the in-car perspective on Brett Guzik there, just so we can kind of get a perspective of what he was seeing as the car in front started to drift up. Go to the in-car camera here. So this is Brett Guzik's perspective. You see the 92 just going up and up and up, and at a certain point, Brett was he was either hitting the 92 or he was going into the wall, and actually in this case, he got a little bit of both there. Just massive wreck there to start off Brett Guzik's new season, and of course he has quick repairs, as every driver in this series does, and it's even better for him if he was able to make it back to the pits on his own power, which I believe he was, as you can see here in him driving off, which is incredible considering the fact that at one point in that wreck he was completely upside down. So, well, now things really get kicked off here at Daytona, as they often do. You see the very wonderful, weirdly textured, very basic polygonal car models there. I don't know why iRacing felt the need to add those if they were going to look like that, but they do, and there's nothing we can do about it. But back up to the front here, Jason Greenwell is going to be your new route leader as a number of drivers come down pit road. Those including, I believe, Nick Nickerson just pitted a moment ago. You see there on the bottom, Jackson Knock. Again, Jacob Abreu. Campbell coming down. A number of drivers towards the back of the field will now take pit stops. And could be for a number of things. Could just be to take fuel under a free pit stop under cautions. A lot of guys are just going to pit on every caution tonight because there's no major disadvantage to doing so. Of course, you get a free stack up back to the back of the field. And yeah, so you can take a free pit stop here. And I mean, track position it's ideal. Again, we've talked about it a little bit before in the pre-show about how being up front and being out of the way of wrecks is advantageous because, of course, it means you don't put yourself in harm's way and at risk of getting wrecked. But, you know, there really isn't a terrible spot on track at this point in the race. You're going to get more cautions. So if you go to the back of the field and really fall back, not going to penalize you all too much, really, by the end. So again, we're waiting for these drivers to come off pit road here. So we're going to go to the pit lane camera. Here he comes. Mr. Dan Heisey, there is the driver of the number 86. He's just coming off pit road. Up front, Eddie Hagge, your pole sitter, and Tony Hilbrand's, who was just involved in that wreck. Tony Hilbrand's is off pit road. There's Eddie Hagge in the background, still taking his service. But up front, it is Jason Greenwell. And, well, to give you a bit of an introduction to a driver that has been in the series for a number of years, at least every season I've been here. Well, Jason Greenwell, we called him the pompous man himself last season in reference to a total slip-up in words I made last year where I accidentally called him pompous, which is much more negative and is much more is not what I was trying to say at the time. Of course, Jason in the Skype, and I wonder if he's actually on Skype right now. Maybe we can illustrate my point correctly. But no, that is the wrong camera, very wrong camera. Again, this is the stuff I'm talking about when I'm saying give us some time here. Xfinity Series race cars, the Supras, the Camaros, and the Mustangs. Heading by your screen, and there we go. Pace car off onto pit road. We are ready to go for the green flag here. Green flag at Daytona, the first restart of the season, and the season 10 of the Bandit Racing League. Jason Greenwell taking us to green, followed closely by Curtis Yancey, who slots in on the inside line. Same with Nick Nickerson, same with Jonas Lazatter. Pretty clean single file start here as we get back going at Daytona. Through turns number 1 and 2, the field again cycling back out. Only a couple drivers left up there on the high side. Nobody really packed up there on that start. A number of cars have already fallen out of the groove. Kevin Foster there, who currently sits in 41st position, quite a ways back there, sitting 6.6 seconds back of the race leader already on the very first lap, which just tells me that your race leaders really didn't get packed up to all too much with the drivers further up in the pack. Curtis Yancey getting really close there to the back bumper of Jason Greenwell as we come off turn number 4. Curtis Yancey, always one of the more aggressive drivers in the series. It's paid off for him in the past, and in some races it hasn't, but at the moment, now he's getting some help from your defending, or your former series champion, I should say, Nick Nickerson there. The 2 car giving him a push, now trying to get down. He does, so the 2 car and the 51 working together a little bit here early. They're going to push each other past Jason Greenwell. Now Curtis Yancey is going to lead the race, and that run on the outside line there has a little bit of potential. That's Jason Greenwell there, the 3rd car on the inside, but it's Jonas Lazatter there, the number 71 we see up there on the high side, that white, red, and yellow car. He's getting a push from, again, Bill Harkins, your series founder, series coordinator. He is a driver as well in this series, and he is working well together with that 71. Then it's Nicholas Bingham there, that number 93 red and blue car on the inside. So a couple guys really getting stacked up here. Guys getting a little closer than they were in that original stint. And that comfort level is really going to rise as the race goes on, you've got to expect. Guys have now run, even if it's only about 20 laps here at Daytona, they've gotten used to the car, they've gotten used to the flow of the race, and now it's all about being predictable. That's really the biggest word I always use in speedway races. It's about being predictable, making sure guys around you anticipate every move you're going to make to make sure you don't find yourself in a massive wreck just because you didn't do something all that crazy, but you just did something that nobody else on the racetrack is expecting you to do. Here is Mark Allen Bivens, our Most Improved Driver Award winner from last season, the Blytheville, Arkansas native. He is slotting in there on the outside line, sitting right there behind Bill Harkins and Jonas Lazatter in that great-looking 76 paint team. That is a fresh-looking car there this season for Mr. Mark Allen Bivens. As Bill Harkins right in front of him kind of dropped out for a second there, but Mark Allen Bivens was able to slot back in there. We see a lot of movement for the 11 to Bill Harkins, but as of yet, no real worries. I think Mark Allen Bivens, one of these times, is going to have to take the opportunity and jump underneath him. I think he thought about it there, but no, for the time being, we are going to go on board here with the driver of the number 76. And again, things all good for now. And up front, it is still Curtis Yancey and Nick Nickerson, the 2 guys working together and pushing one another. I mean, Nick Nickerson, for all of his GFR racing teammates, all the big names he's got helping him out, including Ricky Hart Jr., who we go back to in the 15th position driver now of the number 1. He is that car we're going to see right here right now, the black, red, and white entry, the big red propane number 1 car. Well, that's one of Nick Nickerson's teammates, and the other is Mr. Kevin Foster, who I just talked about a moment ago. He's sitting all the way back there in 35th. So the number 8, definitely not really involved in the conversation right now at the moment, but he qualified in 10th, was running up front for most of the start of that stint, including pushing Nick Nickerson up to the lead at one point. So just one of those casualties of that last wreck, and as long as he can stay relatively in the slipstream to get a couple more spots, give himself the best track position possible for the next caution, then sure the number 8 car can get back in the equation before too long. We are now on board with Mason Flagar, who sits a little bit further up the road from that. This is the driver of the number 72, currently sitting in 27th position. So this is kind of that second pack. There's that front group still led by Curtis Yancey and Nick Nickerson. Then a little ways back here, kind of midfield, are these cars, the 72, the 88, the 53, and the 02. So yeah, I think this second group is probably the most advantageous as long as they can stay on track, which one car I don't believe was able to. I think that was Jason Rome, who just dipped off into the infield for a moment, but came back up without too much issue. But this is the group that is going to avoid those big incidents up front from this pack. You know, when these guys up here start to get involved in stuff, get a little bit more dicey, battling for the lead rather than just like 24th, 25th, these are where the wrecks are going to happen. And in turn, that second pack, as long as they're able to take evasive action and not get into each other, might actually be in the most favorable spot of anybody, if you want to argue that way. It just depends on the way you see these races, whether you're somebody who wants to lead a lot of laps or whether you're somebody who just wants to settle in and make sure you make it to the end. still a little bit confused for Cody Welch's position. Yeah, it would have just been a case that he probably couldn't fuel. Maybe had an issue in the pits, maybe missed his pit box. But I don't believe he was involved in the wreck. Sometimes tonight here at the super speedways, guys don't value track position. They'll make pit stops that maybe don't seem super logical in the moment, but have a bigger meaning, big picture. So don't worry, it's not up to a case of he made a mistake or anything like that. It wouldn't be a speeding penalty as somebody suggested, because he would have had to serve that under green, and thus he would be a lap down. But no, I think Cody Welch right now is just he's doing his thing. He was on a different strategy there. Took fuel like a number of other drivers did, and now he just finds himself chilling out back here in 30th position, going side by side there with Nolan Gross on the inside, who does actually have a little bit of damage there to the number 02 car. Back up front, meanwhile, it is still Curtis Yancey leading the race there. The 51 car, I believe that was his 5th lap there from the lead. So at a certain point, he's going to get himself in the running for leading the most laps tonight. But as far as I'm aware, we've taken away most conventional bonus points, or we've at least taken away the incident point bonus for spending the entire race not getting a single incident point for going off track or making contact with another car. I don't know what the ruling is as far as other points, though, as far as leading the most laps, leading a single lap. I'll have to get a better word on that for next week. But no, meanwhile, everything is still the same up front for Curtis Yancey, and this pack is about the same as it's been for the last 10 laps. Yep, Jonas Lazater still to the outside, still getting help from Bill Harkins and Mark Allen Bibbins. And the inside still made up of Curtis Yancey, Nick Nickerson, Jason Greenwell, and Nicholas Bingham. Well, besides Mark Allen Bibbins, who's moved up 35 spots, your second biggest mover of the race is this guy, the 13 car there of Mr. Christopher Ferrara, driving that Apex Sim Racing number 13 car. A great looking entry there. Kind of an older throwback sort of 70s, 80s style paint scheme design there. Really, really cool. That 13 car there, you see the chopper camera here, courtesy of our new track cams for Gourmet premium cameras. He's got a great look there at the back of that front pack. He's still in there in the 16th position, 32 spots up actually. So clearly there were more cars in this race at one point than there are. Saying he started back in 48th, but to my knowledge, there are only 44 or 45 cars running in tonight's race. So don't know exactly how he did that, but whatever he's doing, it is working. Christopher Ferrara there is moving his way steadily up the field. Same with this guy, Mr. Ricky Hart Jr. Trying to find some closer cameras here, but he is going to be going by your screen. The number 1 car, the black Ranger. There he was. Saw him just sit by a moment ago. Ricky Hart Jr. there on the outside of the number, that is the 18 of Brett Grunewald. And Brett is a new driver to the series, the number 18 making his debut tonight. He's been relatively up front the entire race. Qualified in the 11th spot, currently sits in 9th. That's the 18 car you see on your screen, the black and orange entry. He's forming himself up there on the inside line. This is actually going to get very interesting because I believe that is Daniel Stein there, the driver of the number 87 up top. He's going to force everybody 3 wide there. Guys are going to have to move down those single file, or those single and double file lines are going to have to stack up a little bit to make sure they can avoid him, but they do. Up front, though, Bill Harkins, you saw a big slide there for a moment from the driver of the number 11. He's all good for now, but that got a little bit worrisome for just a moment. Now on board here with Bill Harkins, just to give you an idea of what it's like to drive in such close proximity to other cars that try to get in the draft and get in the slipstream of another car. He is very loose there. You see in turns number 1 and 2. It's a fixed setup series, so he's running the exact same package as everybody else, but some drivers are able to run it a little bit more smooth. Some guys just arc the corner in a certain way that they don't need to shift quite as much. But big push coming here from Harkins to the number 71 car. Jonas Lazater getting a push past Curtis Yancey. He was ahead by about half a car length there, heading down to turn number 3. Now that run kind of stalls out. Curtis Yancey should once again lead the lap here as we come to lap number 26. We are now 1/4 of the way through tonight's event here at Daytona. I believe it was Jonas Lazater that led that lap. So the number 71 car is getting some help, and that high line tonight appears to be making some progress. Some nights in some certain tracks here and some certain super speedway races, only the inside line has enough help, and guys just aren't comfortable running the outside line enough that it ever leads any laps unless you comfortably get around the guy on the inside. But good to see tonight the guys are comfortable enough, confident enough to make that outside line work, and that we should see hopefully a 2 or 3 wide run to the line here at the very end of tonight's race. Always the best finishes, of course, happening at super speedways. Well, again here, folks, it is so great to be back. I really hope you guys have enjoyed being back here on the Full Send Racing Network, and in turn watching the Bandit Racing League this season for the Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series. A number of cars now just dipping off track, including Bill Harkins there. What happened there a moment ago with the number 11? He just briefly dipped off your screen, hopped back on track, but whoa, massive wreck. Here we go. Whatever he started, whatever was going on there when he crossed the tri-oval has now kicked into something official. Who was that involved there? That was Jason Rome going off track. Charles Oberg narrowly avoids it. I think it was Joshua McQuiggan drove off track. John Graham was in it. Benny Hogan is okay. He was able to get by. Garrett Hall is in the infield, the 26 car, with relatively considerable damage here. Back on comes Garrett Hall and Cody Welch. You see in the background there, the 85, relatively little damage, but he was caught in the infield as a result of that incident. Second caution of the day comes out on the lap number 27. Let's go to your Full Send Racing replay presented by Apex Sim Racing. Let's see what brought out your second caution of the night. This is kind of the aftermath of whatever happened there up front. We saw that weird moment there with Bill Harkins where he briefly took a little bit of damage and then dropped below that yellow line there in the apron. So let's see what made that happen. We're going to go all the way back here. Bill Harkins here already running below the yellow line. You can see it as we come through the tri-oval. Just for whatever reason, that white and green car having a tough time staying on track at all. Don't know if he made a little bit of contact with the wall or what. You can see the back rear quarter panel of that car is damaged. He's coming through turn number 1 and 2. I think the guys behind him didn't know he was coming back up. Yeah, Christopher Ferrara at the last moment just got a little bit loose, a little bit squiggly, and I think he and the 72 car kind of kicked that whole thing off. Going to go on board here with Mason Flagar. I think he had the best view of anybody here coming off of turn number, coming up towards turn number 1 there off the infield tri-oval. Here he comes. So the 14 car up on the high side, who I believe is a lap car. Flagar just found himself stuck. Bill Harkins tried to merge back up there in turn number 1 right in front of Christopher Ferrara, who had nowhere to go. And then in turn with the 14 car up top of him, it was just Mason Flagar really didn't have any available avenue to get by. And that's when everybody in behind kind of piled in. So let's get a further out view of this entire thing as it happens. This is Tony Hilbrands there, who was a little ways back. He was partially involved in this incident. Got to go up a little ways. So here we go. That's what kicked it all off. It was Christopher Ferrara and then Mason Flagar, of course, and Bill Harkins here, who I don't think actually took that much contact there in that whole thing. Trying to set up the driver here. So yeah, you can see the 14 car was there. Somebody in the background, I think it was Andrew Zook, piled in late. Whatever that kind of pistachio-colored car there a little ways back was. Going to go to it one more time. Just trying to get a better camera angle just because these cameras are very far away here at Daytona. A bit closer. So, some notable names here. Somebody took a considerable spin. That was the 14 car. Whoever it was that was running up there on the high side. That's Aaron Moore, a newcomer to the series. Yeah, Aaron was just sitting up there on the high side trying to let a couple cars by. And, yeah, just like that, we kick off your second major wreck of the race, and just like that, a number of drivers going to find themselves having to take additional quick repairs, including, I believe, Cody Welch, who would have been on the borderline there. You know, we went to that camera angle of the number 85 there after the wreck, and it didn't look like a considerable amount of damage, but you really don't want to have a car that is anything less than up to speed here at Daytona, because if we do get a long green flag run and you go out there with a car that's damaged, you could put yourself a lap down pretty easily if you can't stay with the draft. Because those cars in the draft pack that can push each other, can use the slipstream, tend to run about a second, maybe a second and a half quicker per lap than the cars running by themselves, especially if they have damage. Here we are, lap number 29 of your season opener here at Daytona, back for season 10 of the Bandit Racing League. Shout out to Corey Mitchell there in the YouTube chat. I have my Full Send Racing Network t-shirt on now. I sincerely appreciate it, and I have mine sitting here right over here, my black and orange shirt. Maybe we'll throw that up for a second here. Do you know where you can go to get some premium stuff like that? Some stuff like this, the t-shirt that is mentioned in the chat and the one that I'm about to put up. Well, if you want any Bandit Racing League merch, there is the logo. I don't know why there's two of them. If you want any merch like that, the place to go is Geezer Authentics. Let's just get the camera up here. We'll throw up my shirt. There we go. Where's the logo? See, we got the logo on the front here for Full Send Racing Network, but we also got the one on the back. I have the black t-shirt just because I like wearing stuff that's black, blends in with my clothes and jackets and stuff like that, but there is your logo. I don't know why I shifted over. There's the wrong way. Full Send Racing Network, you got the logo there on the back. Get any Full Send Racing Network stuff like that, any general Bandit Racing League merch, any drinkware, any phone cases, anything like that, sweaters, hoodies, driver-specific merch, anything like that. The place to go is, as always, Geezer Authentics. Thank you to Geezer Authentics for being tonight's race sponsor here at Daytona for the season opener. And again, what a interesting season opener it's been. We got a lot of new faces here making their debuts tonight, and quite a number of guys have been doing quite well for themselves here early, and some guys have struggled a little bit. The guy who's doing considerably well, I talked about him just a moment ago. There he is, Brett Grunewald. What a start it's been for the Kennewick WA. I'm a Canadian, for those of you that don't know, so these American state acronyms can be tough to figure out. I'll throw it to you guys in the chat there. Anybody who wants to let me know what WA is as an abbreviation for a state. But whatever it is, Brett Grunewald there making his debut tonight in the series, the driver of the number 18. He has been probably the most successful rookie of the night so far. He's up to a really great start, and he is starting right behind the man in front of him, Mr. Curtis Yancey, who's just about to lead us to green. Pace car takes the left-hander back onto pit road. We are going green as we speak. Green flag for the second restart of the night. Third overall here at Daytona for the season opening Geezer Authentics 100 here in the Bandit Racing League Season 10 Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series. Good start for Curtis Yancey, relatively calm in behind. Brett Grunewald, is he able to clear Nick Nickerson there on the inside? He is. They go side by side through turns number 1 and 2. The 18 gets the better of him. The 2 car going to have to slot in behind. Just in front of Mark Allen Hill, but she's not able to do that. Brett goes back up. Brett Grunewald here as we come down the backstretch. A few cars in the background there getting a little loose off of turn number 2, but the 18 car comfortably clears the 51 of Curtis Yancey. Got a little bit of help there from Nick Nickerson, and just like that, the newcomer rookie, he is at the front of the field with a big, confident power move there past the 51 of Yancey. Backstretch we go once again into turn number 3. It's still Grunewald side by side with Nickerson there in row number 1. And it's Ricky Hart Jr., his teammate there for GFR Racing. I was talking a little bit earlier about those GFR guys, as quick as they always are here at the Super Speedways, just hadn't gotten the opportunity to work together yet tonight. Well, that is about to change. The 2 and the 1, both teammates going to start teaming up here in just a moment. I'd imagine we're going to start seeing some pushes there from Ricky Hart there in the 1. And I'd imagine if you're Ricky Hart Jr., you're not too concerned about making any big moves in your teammate right now. You're really just worried about getting the 2 in a favorable spot. I would imagine if you're the 2 and the 1, if you're able to work together and get that push, you're going to try to put yourself in that inside line rather than leading the outside. As much as we've seen today, like we did earlier with how Jonas Lazada was able to lead laps there from the outside line, it's just, there we go, right as I was talking about it, so much more reliable there to be on the inside line. And those teammates trying to work together, they almost come together. Ricky Hart trying to set up a good bump draft, which he did. We're 3 wide. That's going to throw things into chaos. Up top, Nicholas Bingham, the 93 car, trying to get by here, trying to make something happen from the outside of that lane. We remain green, but things got a little bit dicey there for just a second. We're still 3 wide as we come through the tri-oval. Grunewald settling back in on the inside line there. It's still Nickerson and Hart, but that was just a slightly miscalculated move there from the 2 and the 1. Nickerson got cleared, Hart did not. He tried to merge down as though he had cleared the number 18 car, and he just hadn't. So, glad that didn't result in anything a little bit more chaotic. But right now, a number of drivers you see there in the background just trying to keep up with this front pack. By my count, it's about 36 cars there within 5 seconds of one another. There we go. Much better use of that slipstream there and that momentum from the outside off of turn number 2 there. Just like that, Ricky Hart Jr. and Nick Nickerson, your 2 defending series champions, are now at the front of the field, leading Mr. Brett Grunewald again, who has had such an impressive race to this point. But you also got to talk about Connor Zook there, driver of the number 95, that turquoise number 55 entry for, of course, Zook Family Racing. There are 2 others in the field, Mr. Andrew and Mr. Kale. Daniel Stein for a moment there went on track. When he was back, he was back on, so whatever happened there to the number 87 car has gotten figured out, though he has been kicked out of that kind of mid-draft pack he was sitting in. He wasn't in the pack in the front, so he wasn't really going to be going anywhere at the front of the field, but he was at least in that kind of second draft pack, and he could probably make his way back up here. But again, nothing wrong with being one of those guys sitting a little ways further back, because as we've seen early on tonight, there are going to be a lot of cautions, not just from, misintentional, or not just from intentional stuff, big aggressive moves, but just kind of miscommunications like we just saw with the 2 and the 1. Luckily, those 2 drivers are experienced and just flat out talented enough to make that work and not cause a massive wreck. But if they hadn't been, that could have been an easily a 20-car pileup there. And again, you know, early pileups you have in the series. Unlike like NASCAR Daytona 500, if you get in a wreck in that race, you're effectively done. That's your day over. Here in the series, we have quick repairs that allow the car to immediately repair all damage, get back out there unscathed, up to full speed. But you only have 2 of them, and you definitely don't want to be using them this early in the race and running yourself out of options later. And it really does change the way you drive as a driver to know you have those quick repairs there in your back pocket. It gives you that little sense of comfort. Perhaps a little bit more confident about making last-second maneuvers, the ones that you really need to make if you want to make considerable progress up the field. Ways further back in the field, we're seeing quite a bit of movement there mid-pack. Kevin Foster there in the number 8 car, sitting up there on the outside of the line, just outside of that black and blue entry of David Lakey. He got by a couple cars there. He is now back up into the 12th spot and trying to make his way up towards those GFR Racing teammates of his further up in the field. If those 3 guys can get together, they are extremely reliable. We've seen in the past they are really consistent here at the super speedways. They're good at working together. They don't maybe have the success to show for it, though Kevin Foster did win at Talladega last year, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely some potential ability to win these races for all of those GFR Racing guys. It's just in the past haven't quite been able to get it done. But if they're really able to team up there at the front, get a line of 3 on the inside line, work together, it'll make it considerably tougher for anybody on that outside line to pass 3 cars at once, especially ones that are in tandem working together. As long as they can, get the team and really put a wall up there to the guys on the outside, that'll effectively mean that it's up to them when they want to start attacking each other. And until then, it'll be borderline impossible to get by. But for the time being, again, Brett Grunwald there, as well as Connor Zook. And who is that to the outside? That's Jason Rome there, the Canadian, the number 81. 35 spots up from 40 qualified. You know, he's making progress there at the field. We'll see if that pace continues to move forward. I think it was Connor Zook there who just peeked out in front of Curtis Yancey, who's kind of fallen back since he led this last restart. But again, I don't think Curtis is too particularly worried about where he sits in the field at the moment. That's the 51 car you see there on the inside line, just behind the pink and turquoise entry of Connor Zook. Really cool camera angles we're seeing here at Daytona. They just, in my opinion, they enhance the entire thing, make it so much more exciting to get different angles here and really get a sense of how fast these cars run in the sim. I know it's a sim and it's often tough to get context for just how fast these race cars really are in real life and in the sim, and in turn how hard they are to handle as a driver. But yeah, just getting a more standing camera angle from a static location really tells you just how fast these cars are going and how little time you have to react as a driver when somebody in front of you moves. As we've seen a couple times. Again, I go back to that Nick Nickerson and Ricky Hart move from a moment ago where they were trying to clear the 18. There was a miscommunication. The one tried to come down and the 18 had to respond. You get so little time as a driver to try to counter-react. It's why I have so much respect for these guys here when we do go as long as we have in the stint without a yellow flag, because it does really take a lot of patience and a lot of skill in order to not wreck. Further back, Brett Guzik I thought had pitted just a moment ago, but Christopher Ferrara is the guy I was looking for. Christopher Ferrara and the 72 of Mason Flagg are both down pit road as we speak, alongside Trey Ellis, who I believe is still here left over from a previous wreck. That 4 car with a ton of damage to the front nose might be out of it. We have a yellow flag somewhere on track. Joshua McQuiggan has gone off. The number that is the 29 of McQuiggan. A couple other drivers I'm seeing. Andrew Zook was involved somewhere on track. Let's find him somewhere. There's just so many cars here to try to figure out. So Brett Guzik was fine a number of guys just slowing down now. Jacob Abreu was involved. Again, Andrew Zook, Garrett Hall. Where is Garrett Hall on track? He is sitting there on the infield. So we see a couple cars go by. Considerable damage to the 26 car. Look at the just complete lack of a hood there on the front end. You can see the suspension underneath the car. So we're going to go back to your replay, see what brought out your third caution of the race. But for the most part, it looks like it was drivers sitting a fair ways back on track. Full Send Racing replay presented by Apex Sim Racing. So the 45 car kind of kicked it off. Again, trying to come to terms with numbers and names here. That's the 45 of, again, Jacob Abreu, who we mentioned a little bit earlier in an earlier incident. So here is Abreu. So Abreu in the 45 running decently off the pace here for whatever reason. This is off of turn number 2. Packing behind him, trying to get by. There's the 32 of Condis. Oh, just gets caught. Gets caught by, I believe that was, I think that was Andrew Zook himself there who started that off. I know he was involved. Again, we're going to go back here, get a better camera angle on that. There is Andrew Zook here, the driver of the number 07. Here he comes, and just, I thought he was clear, just wasn't. And again, that started off a chain reaction that we got to find some of the guys involved. I think Garrett Hall was the guy that took the most damage of anybody. So we will go on board here with Garrett Hall. You see flipping over and over. The 26 car just got absolutely walloped there by this car stopping in front of him. So you see Condis moves up. He doesn't see him until the last moment. Tries to go underneath him, and then, of course, Andrew Zook catches him, and just nothing he can do from there. Having some internet issues on Garrett Hall's part, which is why he keeps flipping in and out. But, yeah, massive wreck there for Garrett Hall and a number of other cars involved. We go back live here to pit road, where we are busy down here on pit road. A number of guys just coming down for either their first or second stop of the race. I'd imagine they're second for most of these drivers here. Cocanal is just getting off pit road as we speak. Tony Hilbrands as well. That is Charles Oberg just leaving. Michael Ramos is leaving. Brett Guzik heading off pit road. Andrew Zook, you see there, still parked. Trey Ellis has left pit road at some point in the last couple laps, so he must have got his damage repaired and is out of quick repairs for the night, which is going to definitely harm the chances there for former Daytona winner Trey Ellis. I believe it was Trey Ellis that won the last season, if I'm not mistaken, here at Daytona. So a guy that knows what it takes to win here late in these super speedway races. That sort of clutch gene, the ability to know where to position your car for the end of the race in order to have the most favorable spot there on the final 2 laps and that run to the line at the very end, does definitely speak to the ability to do it again. That's why in real-life NASCAR for the Daytona 500, guys like Denny Hamlin win so frequently in these big super speedway races, because it's an experience thing. It's really getting in the zone as a driver, figuring out where you need to be, getting comfortable somewhere, and then just knowing when it's go time. And a lot of guys do, and a lot of guys maybe don't quite so much have that same ability. So we will see tonight who has that said ability later on. But there's the number 2 car of Nick Nickerson, the cool kind of chopper camera flip there. We are now on lap number 44. So getting to the halfway point here at Daytona. And, well, I personally, I don't think we're any closer to determining who is really a guy to watch out for tonight in potentially getting the first win of the season here in the Bandit Racing League Season 10. Speaking of the Bandit Racing League Season 10 in the big picture, let's take a look at our schedule here. I believe it is 22 races on this season's calendar, 11 apiece in each half of the season. Turn the car audio off for a second. So Daytona tonight, of course, on March the 30th, just before the end of March. Into April is our first race of the season. Next week we go to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, our first non-super speedway race of the season. So that's going to be a little bit more conventional racing, the 1.5 miles that are a lot more technical, going to be a lot more interesting from a driver's perspective. Tonight it's more interesting from a pack racing, tons of cars, high speeds perspective, but going to be a very different race at Las Vegas next week on Wednesday. Of course, every race in the series does run on Wednesdays. We have the occasional drop week, so as you can see, between Auto Club and Dover, we have a week off. We have a week off between Kansas and Atlanta, just to give our drivers and, of course, your humble broadcaster to give us a break every once in a while. So that is the situation there. But yeah, we go to Las Vegas. Then it's Circuit of the Americas. It was formerly Daytona Road Course as it's been in the past, but we were unable to acquire a setup. So instead, we are going to Circuit of the Americas, where they just ran the real-life NASCAR race. And if those of you that have been here a while in this series will know, road courses are particularly the domain of one certain driver, your current race leader, actually, Mr. Nick Nickerson. But I always hold out hope that somebody will get them figured out and somebody will become a little bit more, at least adept enough at the road courses to give Nick Nickerson a run for his money, if not win it outright. Then we go to Auto Club on April the 20th, and that'll round off the month there in the first 4 races of Season 10 of the Bandit Racing League. But here we go. Nickerson, Bingham, Grunwald, Heisey, your top 4 here as we go back to green on lap number 45. Good start there for all of the top 4. Dan Heisey there in that new number 86 livery there. The snap-on car, really good-looking livery there for him. The 86 car is off to a good start there on the high side, trying to give Nicholas Bingham a bit of a push, just trying to upset the order whatsoever. I don't believe Bingham, for as quick as he's been tonight, has led this race so far. So the 93 probably gonna do his very best there to try to get by on that outside line. Gonna try to slide down to the inside. I don't know how much he and Dan Heisey are actually gonna work together. I don't know if that's just a temporary alliance thing. Yeah, there he goes. The 93 car gonna slot in front of your former series champion. The 93 car now takes over your race lead, coming up to the line, but the 2 car going to jump back to the outside, go for the crossover in behind there. That's Dan Heisey moving up and down a little bit. He's going to give a push to Nick Nickerson. Didn't line it up quite right, but we were dead even there at the line. So now Nicholas Bingham in the 93 car takes over that ideal position on the inside line, but Nick is going to try to take it back. He's fully clear of the 93 car. Is he going to come back down? Well, now he can't. He waited a little bit too long, and the 93 car got a run. So the 93, the 18, the 76, walking on Bivens now moves up the inside line there up front. Kevin Foster has now gotten back in the equation. Remember the 8 car I was talking about before was making forward progress back through the field after an earlier incident. Well, the Big Red Propane number 8 has done so. So one of Nick's GFR Racing teammates returning to the fold up front. And the other teammate, the one of Ricky Hart Jr. there, still sitting back in 17th after a pit stop a couple laps ago. He is behind a notable face, the number 85 of Cody Welch. He's running alongside there. These two guys have had a number of finishes in the past. If you remember back to, I believe it was last season at Las Vegas where we go next week, that crazy finish where Ricky gave Cody a bit of a push there off the final turn and spun Cody. Again, Ricky absolutely claimed he's not intentionally. I totally believe him in that situation, but it did heartbreakingly take away Cody's, would have been his first and only win of last season. Remember, somehow the 85 car went winless in last season's campaign. You gotta think right off the bat this season he wants that to not be the case once again. He wants to just rip the Band-Aid off and get that first win of the year. And then the car that he was so successful in season number 8, you know he wants to get back to victory lane as soon as possible. You know, what a way to do it to open the season at Daytona. But back up to the front, the number 2 car of Nick Nickerson is back up to the lead after getting around Nicholas Bingham again on the outside line. Remember, for a couple moments there, he just could not commit to slotting down there on the inside. I guess he finally did, and now the 93 car is going to help him out for a couple laps. The 93 car now with a big bump to the back end of the number 2, and then up top, it's again Dan Heisey and Jason Rome teaming up. 2 names that we've seen at the front here at the Super Speedways in the past, but 2 guys that I don't believe have been up here up front so far tonight, at least not in the top 2 spots. So the 86 and the 81 trying to team up however they can. And that 18 car is still there in the top 5. What a debut performance in the series it's been for Brett Grunwald. Same with a couple other drivers like Michael Campbell, who's had kind of a quiet night so far in that number 88, but that great-looking neon number 88 car you see flashing by your screen right now, he's been consistently up front there in the top 10 all night, so don't be surprised if we see that number 88 car here in the fold of things. Now coming up towards lap number 50, getting towards the halfway point of tonight's event. And again, that is the thing about Daytona tonight, is where you are on lap number 50 means virtually nothing. Doesn't really imply much about your speed. It may imply how many quick repairs you have left, because if you're this far up in the field, chances are you haven't been involved in a major wreck. So probably a good sign if your favorite driver is up here in the top 10, top 15, but really it's just going to come down to what can they do at the end when it gets into clutch time. How can they avoid wrecks? How patient can they be? And, well, when they do make that aggressive move, how smart and frankly how unstoppable of a move can they make? Watching from a fan's perspective here, this is what it's like to be a fan here at the virtual Daytona International Speedway, or of course the real track to the same extent. And again, you just get a sense of how fast these cars are there in the distance as you watch them go around. And you really see that front pack of about, well, by my count, about 22, 23 cars there, all within 2 seconds of each other, all within that lead slipstream pack. And once you fall into that lead slipstream, even if you're within maybe 3 or 4 seconds, if you and a couple other drivers can really team up, start pushing each other, get back in this front draft. But once you fall out, it gets considerably harder to make forward progress. And again, as I was saying earlier, the best place to be at the start of these super speedway races is up towards the front, because the guys at the front, as we saw with Nick Nickerson when Tony Hilbrand's cleared down in front of Brett Guzik at the very start of tonight's event, well, if you're the guy up front, you're out of the way of anything that can happen in behind you. And that's obviously the most advantageous spot to be. So Nick Nickerson, who has led, I'd estimate maybe 40 to 50% of the laps in tonight's race. He's doing everything he can to give himself that first Super Speedway win. And as far as I'm aware, Bandit Racing League Series history. Speaking of Brett Guzik, let's check in on the number 04 car. Again, your defending series champion. Well, he is at a very weird night to this point. He's currently sitting 12 seconds back of your race leader, Nick Nickerson. He's sitting right behind Christopher Ferrara, just in front of Michael Ramos there in 33rd position. Kind of a quiet night for him overall since that first caution where he got involved with Tony Obrands. And I get the impression that these guys here are really just trying to get in a pack of their own, avoid wrecks, think about the long game, because they have fallen back 12 seconds here in less than 10 laps here into this green flag stint. So looks like they're just comfortable with sitting there in the back, again, just waiting for wrecks. They're confident that we're not going to go green to the end, and so am I. I don't think it's a bad gamble. So we're going to start seeing stuff like this, and you got to think there's a lot of communication happening here. I know for a fact that some of these guys are teammates, and as a result, some of these team guys are just going to say, okay, let's think about the big picture. Realistically, as fun as it is to lead laps, like a guy like Nick Nickerson is doing, it's just not how we're going to win the race overall. So less focused, I guess, on bonus points, more focused on being anywhere in the pack with a quicker pair to spare at the end of the race, rather than in a favorable spot. It's going to lead them a lot of laps. I want to check in with you guys back in the chat here. As Corey Mitchell says, a lot of laps left. It's only halfway. Very true. It's one of those races. These races here at Daytona really are a marathon rather than a sprint. And, it's what makes it feel so rewarding when you do come away with the win. Is you've run 100 laps that, frankly, when you're sitting there in the middle of the pack, really just trying to, well, maybe conserve fuel, just mashing the gas pedal, turning left occasionally. Not the most exciting from a driver's perspective, but again, it does feel absolutely incredible when you're the one that wins it and comes out on top. And you feel like you made the strategic or tactical decision that led you to the win. Yeah, let's get some conversation going here. I'm curious to think, know what you guys think so far. Maybe I'll ask at this point in the race, who's somebody that you've been watching that you think is, okay, we're seeing somebody dipping out of line. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Mark Allen Bibbins there, I think, momentarily went 3 wide, almost underneath. That's, again, Brett Grunwald, who's had such a great start to the season so far. But, yeah, I'm curious from your guys' perspective, who is the driver that you've seen so far that always seems to be there up front, maybe a car that's catching your eye? If there's a paint scheme you particularly like, there's a lot of cool ones that guys are debuting this season. A lot of guys worked on their own or had somebody in the series work on them, so if they see a compliment to them in the broadcast after the race, I'm sure it would mean a lot. But, yeah, what's a car you're looking out for tonight? Maybe if you're just here not because of a driver that you're close to, friends and family with, or a friend, but is there a car you're kind of gravitating towards so far tonight? Let's just get some conversations going, and I'll keep my eye on it as the race goes on. But again, the car that my eye keeps falling towards because of how consistent he's been this entire race is Brett Grunwald in the 18. But same with Nicholas Bingham in the 93. Two names that prior to tonight I was unfamiliar with, and as of right now, they're running as consistently as your race leader Nick Nickerson has, or as consistently as Kevin Foster and Ricky Hartmore and Nick right now. So it's going to be a question more so next week when we go to Las Vegas. Okay, we saw the pace at the Super Speedway, but what pace do these new guys have at the proper technical intermediates, the short tracks, the road courses? But I know for a fact a lot of the guys that we've recruited for this season that a lot of drivers have brought in, either from other series or just in iRacing in general, there are a lot of guys here that will have something to say about the championship this season, or so I've heard, that have a ton of pace or a specialty in certain tracks. The question is always, as far as the road courses in the series go, who can give Nick Nickerson a run for his money there when we start turning right in these race cars? We've got a Coda in a few weeks. That'll really be the real test. And Aaron Smith, former driver there in the 42 last season, he had what it took to give Nick Nickerson a run for his money, but unfortunately he did leave the series at the beginning of last year. Nicholas Bingham peeking outside the 93 car. Still trying to take a look whenever possible, but still nothing there for him. Going to go on board here with number 93. See a car up there in the distance, a lap car there on the inside line. Hopefully it moves up and lets the rest of the field by. But those moments when you do have to get by a lap car, those are the ones in chaos that really cannot happen. Because as easy as it is for one driver, like if you're race leader Nick Nickerson coming up on a lap car, to move out of the way of a car in front that is just driving by himself on a massive wide racetrack, you gotta hope, as we see Brett Grunwald briefly dip out below the yellow line, this is going to be interesting. So we'll actually watch to make sure things go okay. As easy as it is for one driver to get by a lap car, like everybody's Terry Condis in the 32, you got to get an entire pack of about 20 cars by. Luckily, no miscommunication so far, though a couple of guys dive below the yellow line to avoid it. That's that unpredictableness that I've talked about a little bit in the past. That Got some massive wrecks here, so I'm glad everybody for the most part seems to be okay. Just jumping back here, watching these guys go by. This is Benjamin Lacey here, a multiple-time race winner last season there in the trucks and the season before in the Xfinity Series in Season 8, so he's a guy definitely to watch out for this season, but no, he should make it by okay. And Tony Hilbrands as well. Since qualifying up there on the second row in tonight's race early, led a number of laps at the beginning, and he had that record track music at the first caution point of this race. And since then, he's kind of been a non-factor, but the 92 car, a guy who I don't believe won last season, though came very close a number of times. He was a championship 4 contender last year. I'd imagine he did absolutely the same thing this year, but Tony Hilbrandt's one of those guys, definitely to keep his name in the back of your head if you're a new fan to the series. I'll do my very best here to introduce you to some guys that you may want to look out for this year, and I really won't know anything about the new guys until we see a little bit more from their resumes, so try to talk about some returning favorites and give you guys a little bit of context on this series as we go along. We're going to take a brief break away for just a moment. Then go to a side-by-side commercial break, and we'll be back in just a moment here. Bandit Racing League coverage of the East Fenix 100 here. The first round of season number 10 of the Bandit Racing League. Just going to go to the on top. We'll be right back in just a moment here. You may have noticed somebody there in the background got a little bit dicey just a moment ago. I think that was Jason Romey who dropped out of line for just a moment, has since gathered things back up there, and that number 81 on the outside of line. We'll chug along and continue on as normal, but a really fun race so far here at Daytona. Just watching these big contenders up here up front who was able to consistently find their way up towards that front groove, either on the outside line or on the inside line, and some guys seem to almost prefer the outside line, and one of those guys seems to be Dan Heisey there in that number 86 snap-on entry. He has been up there at the front of that outside line for quite a while now, as Jason Romey again Jason Rome continues to find his way to the outside of the number 86 car, trying to make a third line there, which I don't know if that's actually his intention or if he just keeps having to drift up there, but whatever the situation is there, it's a little bit dicey, but again, I trust at this point in the race, guys aren't going to push anything like that. You know, the 81 car is always going to back out. He's not going to, even if the opportunity opens itself up, he isn't going to throw the car to the outside of the 86, because actually we're seeing right now more and more space being provided between these guys. The 2 and the 93 got a really great run there that time off of turn number 2, so guys going to spread out a little bit. Maybe a little bit of an opportunity here for Jonas Lazater, who I saw a comment for there in the chat. So the 71 car has some support there, and I don't Thomas Lazzater has been great tonight. You remember up front a little ways earlier, he was running on the outside line there, side by side for the lead with Nick Nickerson for a while. He definitely led some laps tonight. And that 71 car is looking quick, positioning himself quite well, and he's been up there at the front since pretty much lap 1. Qualified in 34th, has made it his way all the way up to 6th, and he has been there for a long time. Again, same with Jason Rome to be outside the line, who qualified in 40th, now sits in 6th. Actually, fun fact here, of the 10 cars in the top 10, only one of them started in the top 10. That driver being Nick Nickerson. He now got swallowed up by a couple drivers here in the pack. Nicholas Bingham getting a bit of a push there on the outside line from Mark Allen Bivens. And Mark Allen, I think, thought about dropping back to the inside of his line as well. But no, Nicholas Bingham actually sides with the outside line. So Nick Nickerson should take back over the race lead. Wreck! Big wreck. Jason Rome gets hooked. Zook is in it. Foster, we see, who's that? Jackson Knock. Kevin Foster pirouetting around like a frisbee. Interesting camera angle to watch a wreck from. So Jason Rome is around. Somebody piles in there in the aftermath. That's the 66 car of Ismael Padilla making his debut here tonight. Getting that, trying to get the back wheel rolling, trying to keep the car moving, and he does. So 66 car should make it back down pit road, but that is caution number 4 on the day. There is Ismael Padilla trying to get back up to speed. A couple other drivers were involved there. Again, we saw Jason Rome go around. So there is caution number 4 on the day. Going to go to your full send racing replay presented by Apex Sim Racing. Let's see what happened there. Those drivers involved in your 4th wreck of the day. Go back to a moment of caution. There we go. Replay presented by Apex Sim Racing. So that was the number 81 of Jason Rome, I believe, just getting hooked there off the front bumper of, that was, I think, Connor Zook is the driver of the number, that's the 55. Yeah, that's Connor Zook. So there's a closer angle there. Yeah, just gets tapped. I think that was more a case of anything of Jason, I think, sliding down there in front of the 55. The 55 of Zook definitely didn't come up. So just kind of 2 guys, wrong place, wrong time. A little bit of miscommunication there on track. And again, it's like I was talking about earlier. Being predictable is the best thing you can be here. Is just to not jump in front of somebody, is to make sure you leave plenty of space there laterally across the track for the guy behind you to occupy. And in this case, that just didn't really happen. Trying to go to the onboard camera there for Andrew Zook there, just to get his perspective on the whole thing. I don't know if his internet dropped out or what, but it refuses to show him. There we go. So there's the onboard from Connor Zook's perspective. Yeah, you can see the 81 wash out in front of him. Not really much he was going to do about that. And it's like a decent bit of damage, but actually not terrible. Like, he's going to need a quick repair, but definitely should have got back to pit road. And then there in the background is Ismael Padilla just sliding in. I'm curious what happened to him, because he was in there quite a ways after that initial incident. So again, trying to find guys here where there are just so many on the track. I wish you guys could see my my telemetry here when we have a field of like 45 cars. Just so many guys to try to sift through. Here we go. So you see the wreck happening up front for the 66 car, trying to avoid guys like McQuiggan, Andrew Zook trying to drop below. A number of guys get below, Benjamin Lacey, and then in the background, there it is, Kevin Foster. The 8 car there, just barely sliding down far enough that, that Ismael Padilla got caught. So there you go, caution number 4 on the day, and that'll provide us with a new leader, Mr. Brett Grunwald. He's been up front all day, and now he should be your race leader here on lap is this, number 66. So we are now 2/3 of the way through tonight's race. And again, Kennewick WA. If anybody wants to inform me on what WA means, trying to come up with an idea in my head. I don't know. I'll leave that again to you guys. But yeah, unfortunately, Brandon Jackson, as Matt Crockett passed on there in the chat. Yes, unfortunately, he is at a funeral this weekend. So absolutely, our thoughts and prayers are with his family. And yeah, we wish him the very best. And yeah, really wish he could be here tonight for the season opener. As always, Brandon is such an electric personality. And if you guys come back in coming weeks, you are going to see plenty of the 99 of Brandon Jackson, Action Jackson as we call him himself. And really looking forward to seeing him back on the track. But no, tonight he is unfortunately not present again due to very understandable circumstances. So again, our thoughts are with him. And yeah, looking forward to seeing him back out on the racetrack in the coming weeks. The lights in the pace car already off. A number more pit stops here happening that last caution cycle. We see Benny Hogan there on pit road. Daniel Stein just coming into his pit box now. Michael Ramos, again, defending champion Brent Guzik is there. So yeah, just it's it's going to be tough to try to predict strategy until the very end. I would confidently predict that most guys can't make it to the end here from this point, especially those that haven't pitted. If you pit now, I think you'd be close. Actually, in the old days, I used to get predictions there on estimated fuel stints. Tonight, don't have one realistically. Just these Xfinity cars run different fuel cycles to the trucks from last season, so I can't go off of the data I have from that. But we've seen some decently long stints. Remember that one green flag stint a little bit earlier in the race in the 30 to 40 lap of the race range that I think was about 25 laps. So guys were able to comfortably make it through that under green. So the minimum is about 25. So guys are going to start getting close soon. And again, you save a lot more fuel here under yellow. So we'll see. We'll see if a lot of guys can make it to the end there under the fuel load they have right now. I would have thought Brett Grunwald would have pitted there from the lead in the 18 if he couldn't make it to the end in his current status. So I'm going to say that nobody can, and that we are still one pit stop away from the end of tonight's race. But here we go. The pace car about to take the left-hander onto pit road. There it goes. So Brett Grunwald, driver the number 18, is in control of the field. And here we come to green. The iRacing flag stand. Waving the flag there. There we go. Green flag, number 2 in the 18, side by side there off the restart here, the 5th of the day at Daytona. The Pizza Ranch number 18 car and the number 2 Big Red Propane entry of Nick Nickerson side by side. Curtis Yancey and Mark Allen Bivens there in the background. They're battling it out there for the 4th spot. Mark Allen Bivens now giving a push to the 51 car and in turn the 18. I think these guys in the bottom are saying, okay, we got to do something here to try to break away from Nick Nickerson on the outside. He has had a stranglehold on this race from the inside the entire time. Now Curtis Yancey going to go up back in front of Nick Nickerson. Remember, this pairing worked really well a little bit earlier. Jason Greenwell was involved there earlier as well, and back comes the 83 car. So clearly whatever they're doing there up front worked before, and they're going to try to do it again. But a couple new contenders here up front. Now Bill Hales there in the 53 car sliding in behind Nicholas Bingham. He currently sits in 8th. Keegan Clark there in behind the number 74 car. That black and light blue entry there. It's a Dude Wipes car there sitting on the top side of the racetrack as you come through the tri-oval. He's kind of all by himself out there on the top line. Going to want to slot down and to the inside at the nearest possible moment. Because really no momentum up there, and the guys on the inside line are just going to train by him. One of those guys on the inside is this man, Mr. Eddie Haggy, your pole sitter tonight. He kind of fell out of the kind of collective conscience for the broadcast here tonight. Consciousness, I should say, for quite a while there, but now factoring back into the equation a little bit, he is almost back in the top 10 if he can get by Dan Heisey in the 86 car, who sits right in front of him. But up front, I should keep my mouth shut because Keegan Clark is making up time there on the outside line. I guess the slipstream there, just nobody decided to come up and cut in front of him, and he was just able to slipstream from like 5 car lengths back up to the back end of Jason Greenwell in the 83 car. So he will join the outside line and continue this sort of war of sorts between the top and the bottom line. Which line has more momentum? Which line can clear which? And the only difference being the guys on the inside, when they get in front of the guys on the outside line, they don't usually go up into the outside line to try to take the runaway, whereas the guys on the outside line, as soon as guys that want to work together both clear the inside line together, they're going to jump right down in front of the guys on the inside, that being the 18 and 76, they're just going to take over to the top spot. So effectively, at this point in the race, the top spot really is the first guy on the inside. So right now, that spot goes to Brett Grunwald. Here we go, off of turn number 4 once again. Through the tri-oval, it's going to be Curtis Yancey leading the lap this time by. He's got Nick Nickerson continuing to push him, though he did just drop off a little bit there for a moment. So a little bit of chaos happening there. There he goes, the 2 car. I was going to say, I kept seeing him swiveling around there, maybe waiting for an opportunity. Now he goes, the 2 car down to the bottom. Mark Allen Bivens going to move back up. He's going to go with that top pack. So now we see alliances tested, and we see who's really comfortable working together. Curtis is clear of Nick. Is he going to go back down with him? He is. To the 51 car, I should say, is going to go back down and sit right in front of the number 2 car. So he's going to have some help from the guy that was pushing him on the outside just a moment ago, except now they're going to do it on the inside of the line. And Jason Greenwell now takes over the top spot on the outside, which isn't a bad place to be, certainly, but he's going to need a pretty great push from Mark Allen Bivens to beat that very proven tandem of the 51 and 2 there up front. Let's look back a little ways here in the field towards the further back portions of this front pack. There is Cody Welch there in the 85 car, sitting just in front of the final last year's contender, Mr. Tony O'Brien. So some very talented drivers here sitting mid-pack here, just running by themselves again, trying to stay out of trouble as best they can. I'd imagine they're going to start making some forward progress any time now, because we do still have a lot of time to go. 28 laps here to the finish. It's a long time, but going to want to get to the point now where, the top 10 is going to look more and more appealing being within, 2 or 3 rows of the race leader. Not a bad place to be on a future restart because, of course, we are going to get a yellow flag at some point. That's just the nature of super speedway racing. But, okay, so say we get a yellow flag. You have 5 laps to go at the end of the race. Oh, wreck further back. Somebody got into Nolan Gross. Gross off into the infield. The 14 car. The 02 sliding down pit road. No caution as of yet. The 14 car, there he comes back again. So Aaron Moore in the 14. Nolan Gross in the 02. We're going to go to a replay if we don't get a caution. We haven't yet. Still no caution. So impressive the fact that iRacing decided not to call that. But there it is. Caution flag comes out. The 02 and the 14 car getting together there off of turn number 4, and that'll bring out your 5th caution of the day. That was really weird. I was sitting there thinking, man, I'm amazed that given the sliding around these two just did that we didn't see a caution come out. But okay, let's go back to the replay here. Got to go to the full sim racing replay presented by Apex Sim Racing. The 02 car just got tangled with the 14 straight down pit road. That's going to for sure be a speeding penalty, which is only going to pour salt in the wound for the 02 of Nolan Gross. And there's the 96 in the background of John Graham, who kind of got involved in the aftermath. Let's go to his perspective here. Good thing he didn't merge out in front of those very fast second pack cars just going by there, who did exactly what they were trying to do, just avoid all the chaos up front. And they did that to a T. He's down board from Graham's perspective. He gets by the initial wreck, and then he gets tagged by the 14 of Aaron Moore, who was still a little bit loose from hitting Nolan Gross just a moment before, and suddenly John Graham found himself involved in the 96 car. The winner of this week's practice race there at Daytona. That clip is actually in the intro video you watched before tonight's broadcast. So John Graham, we know he knows what he's doing here at the Super Speedways. We know he knows how to win a Super Speedway race late, but unfortunately now he's going to have to take a quick repair there and use one of his 2 very valuable assets in tonight's race, that being the free chance to repair your car. Well, lap number 74 coming to lap number 75 here at Daytona for the season opener at Daytona International Speedway for the first round of the 22 race calendar this season in the Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series, the 10th season of the Bandit Racing League. 10 seasons, the big 1-0. It's going to be a big storyline of this season. Who wants to be the driver that wins the 10th championship in series history? Going to be a lot of bragging rights to go with that. Curtis Yancey, the last-minute fake-out to avoid going down pit road. Everybody else deciding that it is time to come down into the pit. So this is going to be the last pit stop of the race for all of these guys pitting now. I guess Curtis Yancey, depending on the last time he took a pit stop, is not going to need to pit before the end of the race, or at least he doesn't think he will. But there goes Mark Allen Bivens. You see Eddie Hagge there in the 97 down pit road. Bill Hill's there in the 53 car. He's pitting as we speak. Charles Oberg making his return to the series tonight in the 77 car. He's down pit road. Sharing a box, it would seem, with David Lakey, who just pitted as well in the 84 car. So out comes Grunwald. Out comes Greenwell. Who won the race off pit road there? I believe it was Nick Nickerson, which, not crazy surprising. I think he was second there in line when we came down pit road, and Nick, not usually a guy that misses his pit box. So he's out first. Mark Allen Bivens in second out of the pitting drivers. Then it's Jonas Lazader, and it's Jason Greenwell. Canales comes out in 13th position. Brett Grunwald, unfortunately, has dropped back a couple spots there, but still in contention. And if he's got the pace we've seen from him all night tonight in that 18 car, going to definitely factor into the finish tonight. But Eddie Hagge comes out just in front of Dan Heisey there in the 86 car. Joshua McQuiggan in the 29, David Lakey in the 84, and it's the 44 of Kel Zook and the 77 of Charles Oberg that runs off your top 20. But back up to the front here with the 51, who again decides not to pit. Is that a clever move or is that a mistake? Well, I will leave that up to you guys in the chat for just a moment. We are going to go to your final side-by-side commercial break of the race. When we return, we will be back for the final 25 laps here in your season opener of the Season 10 of the Bandit Racing League here in the Geezer Authentics 100 at Daytona. We are back here at Daytona for the season opening Geezer Authentics 100 of the season 10 of the Bandit Racing League. We are back, and it's so great to watch these cars once again. I've been doing a lot of open wheel road course racing commentating the last couple weeks. For those of you that have seen the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing series on this channel, we had a couple Bandit Racing League drivers, including David Lakey and Nick Nickerson, jump over to that series for this season. But it's really fun to be back here at the Ovals, and especially Daytona, the iconic venue of so many great races there, Daytona 500 or otherwise. But we are ready for another restart. Curtis Yancey alongside Keegan Clark there on the outside in the 74 car. We are green and ready to go. Green flag for Curtis Yancey as he leads the field to green, and Cody Welch sitting there in the third row. The 85 car is back in the equation alongside Nicholas Bingham there to his outside in the 93. Off of turn number 2, a number of cars with really good runs, including the 85. The 74 car of Keegan Clark tried to jump up high, was trying to use the run he got. Look at Nick Nickerson. Hello, number 2 car. What a run he just got off of turn number 2. I don't know how he was able to get a slingshot that fast without a car in front to slipstream off of, but now the 2 car forms up in behind Cody Welch, and this is a pairing I could really get behind. Curtis Yancey goes up to block, puts the 85 in the wall, the 51. That was an extremely late block from Curtis Yancey. He really did not commit to that one. I believe the caution has come out, so clearly something happened a little bit further back in the field. But man, that was like it was a little bit of a miscommunication. I'm sure it was just a spotter issue. I know Curtis didn't try to come up in front of him, but man, Cody Welch, his life must have flashed before his eyes there. Really wish we had the Skype camera on him at that moment. But here we go. We're gonna go see what happened here with the full send racing replay, courtesy of Apex Sim Racing. Number of cars there getting tangled in the back. It was kind of a slow speed wreck, if anything. I see Christopher Ferrara once again was involved in that. 13 car just not having the sort of night he probably would have liked tonight. Going to go to our dynamic TV camera to give us the best view possible of everybody involved in here. And again, these custom cameras courtesy of Track Cameras for Gourmets. Thank you again for joining on with the series as a partner, and so awesome to use this really cool camera package. Gives me so many more options as a broadcaster to explore different camera angles. But look on the left side of your screen there. So Brett Guzik checks a few guys up, but it happened in front of Brett. So we're going to go on the onboard there from Brett Guzik's number 04 and see what he was looking at, because whatever it was that messed him up more than likely caused everything that happened after that. So where is Brett Guzik here on my telemetry? There he is, the number 04 car. Sorry, folks. Just, again, so many cars here at the beginning of the season in these opening races, and especially at Daytona. Be tough to pick out one car from another. So there we go. Whatever happened up front there, Brett slammed on the brakes there, was too close to the yellow line. He got a little bit loose, and that messed up everybody behind him. But in front of him, who was it? McQuiggan went off there for a moment. So, okay, so this is Joshua McQuiggan's perspective. That's a little bit too far. I got to get a closer camera here. And we have a different problem. Too many cameras to siphon through. There we go. So the 84 car of David Lakey just tried to shoot the gap there between Nolan Gross and Joshua McQuiggan. Actually, they kept up to speed. Nobody actually spun there in that portion of the pack, but it was the group in behind there that reacted a little bit heavily there. John Graham again caught in that. The 96 car. It's got to be his third wreck of the day, I'd imagine. So his quick repairs may be dwindling if they aren't out already. But again, so the wreck happens up front. Everybody checks up here. The 45 car goes to go low, and then Ismail Padilla gets caught there by, again, still trying to figure out these new liveries. He was in the pits. It was Hayden Paul, I think, in this kind of black and bronze entry that got into the back of Ismail Padilla as we came through turn number 4. As the final angle will show, but just to give you an idea of who was involved. So the 32, again, I think that's Terry Condis, if I'm not mistaken, or at least it was formerly. He used that exact same number livery, so I believe it is Terry Condis. So Terry Condis, a longtime veteran of the series, good to see him back, but unfortunately, he is not having the night he would have hoped, just like a number of other drivers. But that's kind of just how these things work here at Daytona. Super Speedway races it's one where I think 8 guys, maybe 8, like even 8 is being generous, maybe 8 guys come out of the day really happy with how it went, happy with how the race turned out, and don't really have any complaints. And then there's about 42 guys that have very different impressions on the night we just had. So yeah, what a race it's been tonight. Something very different. Again, Super Speedway Racing, for those of you that are new to the series, this is your first race with us on Full Send Racing Network, watching the Bandit Racing League. This series is a lot more than just what you're seeing tonight here at the Super Speedways. This is really just a case of guys getting on the line, guys waiting for the last 10 laps. The last 10 laps are going to be incredible, but really that technical racing, lap after lap, strategy, really fun battling, really testing guys, pushing them to their limits in terms of skill. And these incredibly hard to drive Xfinity cars. Well, that comes in the next couple weeks when we go to Las Vegas, we go to Auto Club, tracks like that. They're going to be much more technical, much more exciting from a driver's perspective. But tonight is just it's a really fun challenge on its own, and it's always something a little bit different. Again, these cameras are beautiful. I can't get over these camera angles, and I could just sit here and watch angles like this, the crank it up camera, and watch stuff like this all night. But the lights on the pace car are off, so we are ready to go green next time by, and a new face has popped up into the top 5 here. Jackson Knock, as well as Jonas Lazater in the 71 car, who's back up in the top 5, but Jackson Knock here in the 00 car. He gave us a new photo to use for him this season, so the Milwaukee, Wisconsin native there in the 00 OxyClean car. It's been a pretty quiet night so far for the young driver. Man, he is really making it work here as the race has gone on, up 18 spots from the start of the race. Qualified in 22nd. Now he sits all the way up in 3rd and 4th, sitting there on the outside of row number 2. He's going to get the opportunity to help or potentially take over from Curtis Yancey. We'll see if the 51 car slots in front of Nick Nickerson on the restart, or if he's willing to get a little bit of help from Jackson Knock. But Markellen Bibbins, again, last season's most improved driver, a young driver who just absolutely broke out last year. It was an incredible season. Everybody in the series acknowledged how impressed we were with the 76 of Markellen Bibbins. And now he's going to get an opportunity to push one of the series best in Nick Nickerson on this coming restart. Pace car off into pit road. Left it goes, and green we go. Curtis Yancey takes the field back to green here with the Bandit Racing League Season 10 season opener in the Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series at Daytona. And yes, he does. He slots right back down in front of Nick Nickerson. The inside line is going to be the place to be for a couple laps here at the start of this stint. First car on the outside line there is Mr. Brett Grunwald, the number 18 car, back in the equation. Laps to go. Curtis Yancey has led the last 3 laps here under the restart. He's getting pushed once again by the 2 of Nick Nickerson, followed closely then by Markellen Bibbins, Jackson Knock, Jonas Lazater, and Co Canales round out your top 6. Jason Primo and Dan Heisey getting back into the equation after that. Things are getting fast. You can even feel it. The tension starts to get palpable here at Daytona as we go on. And with only 20 laps to go, these cars just start to look fast. They start to look mean. You're going to see them backfiring a little bit in some of these camera angles, and they are hustling now. Guys are going to start focusing on getting to the front here, and I know we're in a single file line. I know it looks like things are getting a little bit more casual, but I promise you, things are, as a driver right now, your heartbeat's going to get faster and faster with each passing lap. In your head, these guys they're doing more thinking than they are driving right now. They're saying, okay, when is that moment? When do I really need to start, committing to some forward progress here, getting towards the front of the field, putting myself in a favorable spot there at the front. And suddenly, bang on there in the chat. That top line is forming up, and it's currently led by the 90 of Co Canales, a guy who, again, we've seen up front a little bit tonight, and in and out, we've seen somebody jump in front of him. That's Jonas Lazater. So I was just about to talk about Co Canales as your new leader on the outside line, but no, it is going to be Jonas Lazater who leads the charge. Whoa, further back, we got a wreck. Tony Hilbrands is in it. The 92 car, somebody's barrel rolling. The 1 of Ricky Hart Jr. Up and over. The 5 is in it. The 85. Is that Cody Welch? It is Cody Welch. Some massive contenders, not just for tonight, but for the season as a whole. a few top drivers not going to start their season off the way they would have hoped, right as we start to look at the battle up front between the two diverging lines for the charge for the lead. Well, suddenly we have another yellow flag and some big names and some fan favorites involved in that wreck. Back to the Full Send Racing replay presented by Apex Sim Racing. It's Rome getting into Hillbrands. Hillbrands going up and over Ricky Hart, hitting the catch fence. That new #1 car for Ricky Hart, a number that is typically bestowed to champions, but is very worthy to be bestowed to a former champion in Ricky Hart. Well, that #1 that he's adopted now is not paying off so far tonight here at Daytona. Hopefully the good luck gets a little bit more, what's a good word to use? Point is, I hope that one car starts to pay him better dividends than it has so far tonight and future weeks. But let's get a closer view here on Tony Hillbrand. It's going to go to the dynamic cameras. These have been really good tonight for looking at wrecks. These will kind of become our default wreck camera as the season goes on. But the one car giving a bit of a shove to Cody Welch, giving him some momentum, and then it all happens up front. Cody just absolutely pile drives the 92, just nowhere to go. We got to watch Tony Hillbrand's first, because that was really where this whole thing got kicked off. He and Rome got together, but I don't really know where or why. So here comes Jason Roman in behind. He kind of gets sandwiched as Tony Hillbrand's between the 02 of Gross and the 81 of Rome. And then that's what kicks everything in behind off after that. So, again, Ricky Hart, Cody Welch, and Tony Hillbrand. Those are three huge names. And all of them more or less had no real part to play in that incident coming to fruition. But one more time, we're going to go to the onboard from, again, fan favorite Cody Welch. Massive run there. He's getting a push from Ricky Hart Jr. as we speak in this moment. And then the wreck and just nowhere to go. You see, he kind of tries to drop down to the inside line, but I think even if he hugged the top side on the wall, he still would have got clipped by the 92. It was a good decision. I think the decision was good there from Cody, thinking that Tony, with where he hit the wall, would just kind of slide alongside it, and he could just jump below the yellow line, but that was not the way that the racing gods had things planned out for him. So unfortunately, Cody Welch there sitting on pit road. No real repairs being made there. You got to wonder if he's out of quick repairs, and potentially the night could be over for the 85. And how tragic would that be after just how great he's been from start to finish tonight? He was really working his way back through there once again. He was running up front there for a while. The strategy just never seemed to come to him. Same with Tony Hillbrand as well, for how well he qualified, how well he was running early. But as we've come to find out tonight, it's not about how well you do in the first 10 laps. It's about what you do there at the end. And unfortunately for those guys, what they did was get caught in a wreck, our 7th of the day. So, looking up front, it's going to be a fun top two here. Nick Nickerson, not a huge surprise. We talked about it in the pre-race show. Nick Nickerson has never picked up a win, at least not in my time in the series, and I don't believe overall at a super speedway, let alone Daytona to open the season. So, I'm just going to make very clear to those of you new to the series, although I probably would have said this about Cody Welch last season, and somehow it didn't happen. Nick Nickerson's going to get a win this season. He's probably going to get a number of them. But this is that one race this season, in addition to Talladega, where things just aren't all that favorable for him. You know, there are 40 cars. Our biggest turnout of the season, I can guarantee, is going to be tonight. There are 40 cars that are all on paper exactly equal. Everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody knows how to drive here by themselves. Everybody passes in very different ways. Some guys are more stable with it. Some guys are a little bit more erratic. But the point is, anybody can win. That's why it's so tough to win at these races. But Nick always finds a way to sit there up front, to always be in the conversation. And it works out for him. And it's incredibly impressive that he strategizes a way up here every race. The last 3 seasons I've been in this series, every single season opener here at Daytona, Nick is factored into the later portions of this race up front. And that takes a ton of skill. It takes a ton of patience. Now it's going to take a little bit of luck. And that's the question. I don't mean to give him the old commentator's drinks here, but that is the question, is will the luck be willing to work with him here? And he's got a pretty good partner there. And Jason Greenwell sitting there in the 83 car. Again, we'll go to his Skype camera to view live the Mount Vernon, Indiana native setup. But yeah, what is Jason Greenwell willing to do there in order to help Nick Nickerson? Is he just gonna dump him at the soonest available opportunity? Does the 83 car want to lead the race rather? There we go. I just realized it for whatever reason in that previous scene there when we put the Skype camera up. You guys can't actually hear me, so that's something we got to fix in the future. I hope that wasn't too much of an issue there earlier, but we're Well, we got it figured out, but we just went to Jason Greenwell's Skype camera perspective there and get a bit of a look at the driver who is going to be starting on the second row on the inside line, but we are green. Green flag once again for the 7th restart of the day at Daytona. Nickerson in the 2 car leads us to green, followed by Mark Allen Bivens in the 76, and Jason Greenwell back there in the 83 car. 13 laps to go. Time continues to run out, and it continues to tick down as we speak. Through turns number 1 and 2. Guys getting formed up once again. That outside line, who is gonna make the gutsy play here early to get up there, start getting facilitated, and start getting to know some of those guys on the outside line that may be their ticket to the front of the field, potentially to a win here tonight, the season opener at Daytona. Currently 3 takers: Heisey, Grunwald, and Bingham, Nicholas Bingham. That's a group we've seen work pretty well tonight. The 93 and the 18 have been up front almost the entire race, and Dan Heisey has been particularly quick here towards the back half of this race. So some really good guys up there, but which guys in that front pack are going to be willing to move up? There is one of them. Jonas Lazater, I believe, is back up there. Yes, he is. The 71 car is loving that outside line tonight, and I don't think it's such a bad thing. These outside line guys, it's a really gutsy place to go. It's very unpredictable. It's often the riskiest place in terms of wrecks, because any wreck that happens on the inside, they're going to wash up in front of you there to the outside wall. So not the safest place to be, but definitely not a bad spot if you're trying to make some forward momentum. Is Mark Allen Bivens going to go with him as well? I think he's thinking about it. He is. He goes up to the top side. We are double file, 2 by 2 for 2 rows here at the front. Now getting closer to 4 rows as the 90 and the 86 race it out for the 3rd spot there, that 3rd row in line. But here we go, 2 in the 76, side by side off of 4. Things are going to start heating up. Could Mark Allen Bivens get his first career win in the series? He's come close before. Remember, he got a runner-up for finish last year here, actually. In our last race at Daytona, he finished 2nd in the season opener, and just that momentum carried on the entire season. Mark Allen Bivens led that lap, so this could get interesting here. The 76 of Bivens, could this be the first win in the Bandit Racing League for him? He's come close a number of times, but what better way to pay off that most improved performance last season over the entirety of Season 9 than to come out here at Daytona and win the first race he gets the opportunity to. And we know he's been quick in the past at these super speedways. He's just one of those guys that finds himself up here like Nick Nickerson each and every time we go to the 2.5-mile tracks. Got a pretty good push there from Jonas Lazater, but had to back off a little bit. The 2 car going to get another probably 3/4 to a full car length there on him. And he does. He clears the 76 car, and I don't think we'll see the 2 car jumping up in front of him as quick as the 76 car clearly is in the top line. That inside line is just by far the most reliable place to be. Jason Greenwell there in the 2nd spot in that inside row. He's getting formed up a little bit, trying to give him a push out as best as he possibly can. But again, if you're Jason Greenwell, you really want to be factoring in the possibility that that outside line is a little bit quicker. Maybe that's the place to be. And as great as it is to help Nick Nickerson, it's so tough to get by this guy one-on-one here at the super speedways. That's why most of his teammates, the only way to get by Nick is to go all the way around him, get to the outside line, get some help, and do it that way. Mark Allen Bivens, is he going to go to the inside line? He clears him. What a clear by Mark Allen Bivens. That was about as late as it gets. But it was like I was talking about earlier. Remember that first wreck with Tony Hilbrands and Ricky Hart? Sorry, Brett Guzik. The problem was that Tony there was that little bit of hesitation where he thought about coming up and didn't. Mark Allen Bivens, that was not a thought process in his head. Once he saw the opening, he went for it. And that is why the 76 car leads here at Daytona with 9 laps to go. Just over 20 miles to the finish. And that 76 car would like to lead all of them, but I don't know if that's super realistic here. It is extremely competitive here at Daytona. Somebody in the background's getting a little dicey. Who was that? That's the 7 of Benjamin Lacey back into the top 10. Former race winner last season, actually 2-time race winner, made it to the round of 8. Benjamin Lacey in the TLP Media number 7 car, sitting in there on the inside line, 6th in the line. Don't be surprised if he's a guy that goes up top. I'm typically used to seeing the 7 car there run the high side rather than the low groove there on the yellow line, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes up there to try to help that outside line that's currently led by Jonas Lazater. Jonas coming back down to the inside line, which makes, again, Brett Grunwald the leader on the outside, though. Actually, Jonas is second-guessing it a little bit, but now 8 laps to go. Time is running out here, and young Mark Allen Bivens could be on for his first win in the Bandit Racing League, and what a way to do it here. And a clutch late race performance, taking on a defending series champion. Whoa, somebody's off. Dan Heisey. Dan Heisey goes around further back in the field. The 86 car is off. Do we have a caution? Caution comes out. Your 8th of the day. Massive implications there for Dan Heisey, the 86 car, who was really comfortably running on the bottom line there. Was slotting in quite well, it would seem. He was giving some help to that inside draft pack made up of Mark Allen Bibbins and Nick Nickerson. It was really what was holding off that outside line so well was Dan Heisey's help, but just like that, the number 86 goes from 5th by my count in line all the way back to the 25th spot, and it happens just like that. Relatively few other cars involved, though, so we're going to go to the Full Send Racing Replay presented by Apex Sim Racing, and he just got hooked. I think simple as that. The 86 car somebody caught his corner panel there in the background, and actually a great camera for the 86 car to just slide right in front of. We're going to go to the dynamic TV camera, aka the camera we use for all wrecks. He just got hooked. Just got hooked by Jason Greenwell. I don't know again exactly whose fault that was on, because I never like to make these big grand statements about how a wreck happens until I really see the greater perspective from an in-car view. So here's Jason Greenwell. He's a little bit low here, as he starts to wash. Okay, it was close. It was an aggressive move by Jason Greenwell. The aggressive Jason Greenwell we saw at Michigan last season, we can tell is coming back. And again, I think that could very well pay off. Don't be surprised if the 83 car comes away with the checkered flag tonight. But yeah, I mean, that's close enough where I don't think Dan Heisey's spotter was going to tell him that the Greenwell was there quite yet. Like, it was so close. It's something that's so much easier from our perspective, having these like big fancy cameras, courtesy of Track Cams for Gourmets, our sponsor of the series and one of our partners. Again, go check out what they do in the broadcast booth below if you're not broadcast booth, description below. If you're a driver out there, you want to use it for some cutting some highlights together. The pre-race video that I made for this race, for the intro, that was made out of mostly angles provided by Track Cams for Gourmets. But yeah, we have the benefit of seeing these big camera angles that show us proper views. But as a driver in car, whenever we go to these cockpit cameras, and again, we'll go to the cockpit of current race leader, and he'll be your race leader on the restart with about 4 laps to go, Mark Allen Bibbins. But if we go from Mark Allen Bibbins' perspective, you see just how constricted the view is. I mean, you can look left and right here on iRacing, but look at his rear view mirror. We can't see anything because, he has a virtual rear view mirror in his car that we don't get to see, but his vision is super limited here, you can see. And yeah, so when a guy just barely peeks down to your quarter panel in behind, and you jump back out a little bit, you get a little bit loose off the corner, you come about a half car length up, and then you try to come back. That's when you have a problem there. And again, you can understand from his perspective here as Mark Allen Bibbins, how if it were him, well, how would you really know? So it's, again, I know it's not as technical as a lot of other forms of racing, and I never mean to downplay the difficulty of super speedway racing as a driver, but the difficulty really does just come down to awareness and an ability to see the cars around you. It's not like an arcadey style NASCAR racing game like the old days of the EA Sports NASCAR titles where you had that cool radar scanner on the bottom of your screen that showed you cars relative to where you were, that made it easy to slide in and out of lines. We don't have that here on iRacing. You got your spotter, and everybody uses a different spotter. Some guys have actual spotters tonight that will be broadcasting to them live the same way I'm broadcasting to you guys, and that's usually the best way to do it. I mean, human error will happen every once in a while, but typically we will see guys using the automated spotters, and well, that's when we can occasionally see some lack of communication when guys just make moves before the virtual spotter tells them it is time. A great suggestion came from us in the broadcast chat there, so good idea. With 1 lap to go here, let's go to Mark Allen Bibbins here. Check in with the driver of the number 76, see if he's up for an interview right here before potentially the final restart of the race. Hey, Mark Allen, it's Marshall up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha.
Hey, Mark Allen. Well, it is going to be a great time to talk to you here because we're 4 laps away, 5 laps away, 4 by the time we get to the restart here. We are 4 laps away from the end here at Daytona, and you are a race leader, man. You have been working your way through the field to this point, and you are making that top line and the bottom line work. From your perspective here, at the end of the race, where's the spot going to be to try to make that pass for the win, and where do you feel most comfortable on track right now?
Man, it's just all over the place. My energy's just running all over the place. I can hardly even think. Hopefully I can just use enough brain power to get to this checkered flag first.
Well, we know you've got plenty. You're last season's most improved driver, and you're running alongside Nick Nickerson, driver of the number 2 car. Do you feel more confident that you got a trustworthy guy like the 2 car sitting there alongside you on the restart, or are you worried about a guy that talented trying to beat you out for your first career win?
Honestly, I don't really know. Nick popped in here, gave me some tips, so I'm thankful for that. So thank you, Nick, for that, and we're just going to have to see what we can do.
Well, good luck, Mark Allen. We're getting ready to go green here. We'll put you back up, but best of luck there, and maybe we'll be talking to you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Here we go. Mark Allen Bivens, Blytheville, Arkansas native, alongside Nick Nickerson. 4 laps to go here on the restart. This is why we watch the 100 laps. You can't judge off 10, you got to judge off 100, and we are 4 away as we go back to green here at Daytona. Green flag for Mark Allen Bivens, immediately jumps back in front of Nick Nickerson, perfectly times the jump, and now he is just 10 miles away from potentially a first career win here in the Bandit Racing League. '76 and the 2 leading up front off of turn number 2. Jason Greenwell there in the 83 car again. Keep an eye on him to get a little bit more aggressive tonight. We're starting to see the desperation coming out further back in the field. The top 5 includes both Jonas Lazater and Brett Grunwald, who have been very quick tonight. Nicholas Bingham on the bottom side. We went 3 wide momentarily. Somebody's in the wall. A wreck further back. Bingham, Grunwald, the 53 of that's Bill Hales, I believe. Canales is in it. Keegan Clark, more drivers involved. A bit of a miscommunication. I think somebody hit the wall. I believe it was Jonas Lazater. We briefly went 3 wide, and you can't do that without it being very clearly telegraphed beforehand. And Jonas Lazater, the entire front nose of that number 71 car now missing. A guy who was so quick all night. We've been talking about him for ages, how well he was running that outside line. He was trying to get back up there. And unfortunately, that eagerness to get back up high is probably part of what caused our 8th wreck of the day. Got to do a bunch of scrolling here to our telemetry to find the caution flag, but here we go. Full set racing replay presented by Apex Sim Racing. Where do you even start? Like the 18 car of Brett Grunwald, who's had such a good night tonight. That is heartbreaking because to sit up there in the top 10 for 97 of 100 laps and to wreck out with 3 to go. His race, of course, not over, but it's going to considerably hurt his finishing position that very well could have been first there with a couple more laps. And really, I'm trying to identify from the very beginning of that what really kicked all that off. I think it was Nicholas Bingham in some part. The fact that he sort of drifted up. No, it was contact in front of him. Okay, we're going to slow it down here for a moment. We don't usually do this on the broadcast, but we need to really get a good idea of what happened here. So Jason Greenwell there in the 83 car. So this is his perspective. Yeah, let's slow it down here a little bit. So it's Greenwell there, slides up about a half car width there, up into the 18 of Grunwald. He hits Lazater. Lazater goes up to the top side, hits the wall. And then a couple guys try to come back down. Hales collects the number 3 of Mathis, who was quietly moving his way back into the top 10. Then the 18 and the 93, who again have been so quick today, get involved. Benjamin Lacey as well. You see in the aftermath there, the 7 car takes a huge hit, already missing the front hood of his car in that first impact. And then the 18 of Grunwald up into the catch fencing there on the outside. He bounces up and then just really spirals from there. The 74 car, did he manage to get by? Keegan Clark. Oh, man. And he avoids Bill Hales. Actually, that car looks... Oh, does he avoid Brett Guzik? Kind of. Okay, I was going to say, did we see a pretty impressive save there? A guy managed to avoid all the chaos there. I don't believe we did. I think Keegan Clark will have a little bit of damage, but Keegan Clark is still, as we speak, currently in the 8th spot. So a little bit of damage there to the Dude Wipes number 74 Camaro, but not enough that I think he will be out of contention for the win here. I know a little bit of aerodynamic damage. Not ideal here at Daytona, but certainly the draft and the ability to run the slipstream are much more important to your top speed than a little bit of damage to your front hood. But what that does do is it means we're going to go to our first green-white checkered of the race. I believe we have 2 attempts at one in this series, so 2 attempts at a green-white checkered. And for those of you that don't know what a green-white checkered is again, occasionally we have people that just come in to really experience racing and sim racing for the first time, come to support family, and maybe don't know quite as much about the inner workings of racing here, especially stock car racing. So a green-white checkered essentially means we're going to go green on the first lap with 2 laps to go. So the laps to go count freezes. We're going to go past the scheduled 100-lap race count. We go to green there, so we do 2 laps. Green, white, checkered. If we get the white flag there, then the next flag ends the race. We don't typically get last lap cautions here on iRacing because unlike real racing, guys are not actually in danger if they get in a wreck. They just get a little bit frustrated, maybe throw something in their real life sim rig at home. But if we get a caution before we get the white flag, we try another attempt at a green-white checkered, and we go until we get one to work. Or if we have 2 green-white checkers, at that point, the next flag, if we get a yellow, would end the race, and we'd end it under caution, to my knowledge. So under the green-white checkered rules, you really want to be leading here late in the race. So if you're Mark Allen Bivens and you start this race as the race leader, which he's going to do again from the outside line, you're going to want to jump down to the inside line and just stick with it. You're not going to want to spend any time there anywhere other than first, because if that caution comes out and ends the race and you're not in first place, you're not getting the win. So lots of really interesting stories here. We are going green here in just a moment, but just for a moment here, let's do a quick through the field segment here presented by Perfect Shine Auto Spa. And, well, there's so many guys to talk about, so little time. Let's start with the notable top 5 here. Mark Allen Bivens there in the lead position on the outside of the front row alongside Nick Nickerson, looking for his first career win in series history. The young driver, the most improved driver from last season, is tonight his night. Nick Nickerson on the inside. He's going to do whatever he can to not let Mark Allen Bivens clear here with 2 laps to go. Can he be clutch and get his first career win here at a super speedway in the Bandit Racing League? Robert Mathis come out of nowhere in the later portions of this race. He started 36, now up to 3rd on the outside of the lane here in the second row. Jason Greenwell, again, he's been quietly up there the entirety of the last half of this race. Does he get aggressive enough to move Nick Nickerson for the win? Nolan Gross and Nicholas Bingham make up the end of the top 6. We thought Bingham was involved in the wreck. Clearly, he's good enough to go. Here we go. 2 laps to go here at Daytona for the Geezer Authentics 100 in the opening round of the Bandit Racing League Season 10. Bivens back down to start, and that is the best thing you want to see if you're a Mark Allen Bivens fan here as we watch his chase for his first career win here in the Bandit Racing League. What a start for the young number 76. The front 4 have just taken off. I've never seen 4 cars here at Daytona get that clear of the rest of the field like that. So here we go. Remember, if we get the white flag, the next flag ends the race. And Mark Allen Bivens, I'd imagine, is going to want to be seeing that white flag more than anything in the entire world, because he was talking about in his interview just a moment ago how stressful it is as a driver to be in this position. What's Nick Nickerson willing to do here as we see Robert Mathis muscle Jason Greenwell out of the 3rd position here. Now he moves up into the final podium spot. Here we come. 1 lap to go here at Daytona to decide the winner of the first race of Bandit Racing League Season 10. Could it be the young driver, Mark Allen Bivens, or will it be Nick Nickerson, former series champion, who has never won at the Super Speedway? Robert Mathis in the 3 car. He is in the catbird seat. And Jason Greenwell quietly, if something goes wrong up front here, could avoid the wreck and go for the win. Off of turn 2 for the final time. Things are getting serious here. We're going to look up the back of Mark Allen Bivens' car one final time down the straightaway. Further back, guys are wrecking. It doesn't matter. This is the battle we care about up front. Into turn 3 for the final time. Again, what is Nick willing to do? Is he going to put the bumper to the back of the 76? Is he going to slide him out of the way? Bivens doing everything he needs to. Sitting perfectly on that inside yellow line. Here we come. Off of turn number 4 to the line for the final time. Is this the win? Is this the first career win for the 76? The 2 will push him to the line. Mark Allen Bivens, your race winner in the Geezer Authentics 100 at Daytona. He was 2nd last year, improves by 1 spot, but that was all he needed. The 76 car running that new sweet-looking 76 livery is your winner at Daytona. Holy cow. Congratulations to Mark Allen Bivens. Incredible job there by Mark Allen Bivens. First career win in the Bandit Racing League. Former most improved driver last season. He got his own t-shirt. He got his own real world trophy he was given. And he comes back the very next race. And not only is he the most improved, but he is your first driver locked into the Bandit Racing League Season 10 playoffs. What a drive tonight. What a race. What a performance. And he's got Nolan Gross there, I believe a teammate coming to support him, one of those Double M Motorsports guys. Here come the burnouts. Mark Allen Bivens, congratulations. Nolan Gross in the O2 is going to celebrate with him. He scored a top 5 as well. Robert Mathis there in the background, picking up the podium there in the 3rd spot, just ahead of Jason Greenwell, who came heartbreakingly close to his first podium of the season. But trying to get a better camera angle here on. There we go. All the Double M Motorsports guys coming out to celebrate with him. This is cool to see. A number of guys there getting involved in the aftermath. Everybody feels like doing donuts, but only one guy really deserves them, and that's Mark Allen Bivens. Congratulations. We talked to him just a couple moments ago, and we've seen in the past in this series, this is a horrible, there we go, that's a better angle. We've seen in the past in the series, sometimes guys we go to in the broadcast booth get jinxed, and as a result, do not come home for the win as we'd normally expect. And tonight, looks like that jinx is over. Everybody, we're going to do a 5-way burnout. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, but this crazy amoeba of burnouts made up of Double M Motorsports teammates. This is exactly what we're talking about when we talk about the team dynamic in this series. And not only is it going to mean guys get to work together, but it's also going to mean guys get to celebrate together. And what driver more worthy to celebrate for than the first-time series winner, Mark Allen Bivens? Trying to find a good enough camera angle to give Mark Allen here, but what a drive. What a job today, man. I can't put it into words again. Everybody in the chat, let's get some props there in the chat. Yeah, everybody there is being very congratulatory, and I really appreciate it. He absolutely did work for this. And to come into the series in my first year, I saw Mark Allen, and I was really impressed. He was a guy that drove with a lot of poise for such a young driver, so new to racing. And he worked away at it. He's such a well-spoken young guy. He's such a poised individual. He's got so much maturity for a guy his age, and he only continues to improve. And to go from a guy who was very quick, very noticeable there in that first season, to by far the most improved driver last year, a playoff driver, a round of 12 finisher. Everybody talked about him in the last season. And you come into this season in Season 10, and you were the first driver to make it to the playoffs with a win. That's incredible. Almost tough to put into words. We need to get ready for your first interview here with the race winner tonight, Mark Allen Bivens. Let's get his information there on your race winners graphic, and we'll put him right in the broadcast booth to talk to your young first-time winner here in the Bandit Racing League, Mark Allen Bivens. Mark Allen, it is Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha.
Mark Allen, first career win in the Bandit Racing League. What a way to do it. You absolutely manhandled the last 3 laps of that race. You put the car in front of Nick Nickerson, and it was over from there. Just what are the emotions right now, man? It looks like you're going to run the car out of gas. How are you feeling after your 3 seasons in the league?
Oh my lord, this is something completely special. I never in a million years would have thought that it would have happened in that way. Had to race our way in, started 41st, so gained, 40 positions?
Yep.
Oh my lord, this is something super special.
We just talked about it all throughout the last couple laps. I was talking about last season you won the Most Improved Driver Award. Everybody acknowledged that you'd only been getting better in your time in the series, and you've always been such a mature driver. Everybody's been able to see that. But tonight you showed your pace. You showed that you know what you're doing up there up front. You know how to use the draft. You know how to hold guys off. How do you feel you've really grown, and do you feel like you're a different driver this season than you were even at the end of last season in the series?
Yeah, because I feel like I've learned, I've done a whole lot of racing over the off season. I've been working a lot with the Xfinity car and just trying to prepare, because didn't do so well in Season 8 with the Xfinity car, but man, oh my lord.
Man, I am so unbelievably happy for you. You should see the YouTube chat right now, and there's just so much excitement for you. And there's excitement from your teammates. We saw that 5-way burnout we just saw a moment ago with guys like Nicholas Bingham, like Nolan Gross. Talk about the team Double M Motorsports, what you're expecting from them this season, just what the support has been like from your fellow drivers here in the 5 minutes since you won the race.
I mean, we all have learned a lot. Keegan, one of the greatest drivers I've seen. Happy to have him on the team. So it's good that we're just getting better and better people, and we're only getting better and better.
Well, you really are. Mark Allen, this is unbelievable, man. I'm so happy for you. And don't forget, man, first winner of the season, you're punched into the playoffs. You're good to go. You can just start racking up the points here for the later portions of the season, and then you're running for a championship. You made the playoffs last season comfortably as, I believe, a 7 seed. Now you're the first guy in. Where do you go from here, man? You got your first win. You've always been quick at the intermediates and different forms of racing. What's the season looking like for the number 76 car, do you think, this year?
Not really sure. Only the Lord and fate will decide. But it's been looking really strong so far, and glad to start off the season with a win.
Mark Allen, I am every time I talk to you, I'm so unbelievably impressed by the poise, by the maturity you have as a driver, and clearly the talent and the skill you seem to have. You are. It's very fitting, I think, that you were the guy that just barely took on Nick Nickerson and just barely held him off, because I think you could very well be the next Nick Nickerson in this series in the making, and you've now done something that he hasn't in the 4 seasons I've been covering this series. So you've got something to your name there. But man, this is your time. This is your time to thank everybody at home you want to thank. If you've got any sponsors, any teammates you want to shout out, anything you want to talk about, man, now is your time, and I'm so glad to be able to give it to you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank my mom, my dad, my family, my friends, just everybody. Kenny Joe Lovins for teaching me how to drive. Joe Warren, Bo and Kim Warren, just everybody. And like to thank all my teammates, Mason Flager, Nolan, Jackson, Nicholas, Keegan. I'm starting to have to refresh my brain here.
No worries.
Just everybody. Sorry if I forgot anybody. Everybody over at Gears LAT. And we are going to party hard.
That is what I like to hear. I have no doubts that you're going to there. Again, Mark Allen, I cannot put it into words, man, how awesome it is to see everybody last season, how universally it was acknowledged, the great work you've been doing to only improve in this series, and to do it there like that. Again, we've seen guys in the past win at the super speedways, fluke it out, avoid a late race wreck. You just controlled that race in the later portions there and flat out earned this victory. So, man, go do your celebrating, go get hyped, go party with the family, and we will hopefully see you back here next week trying it again there when we go to Las Vegas.
Thank you. Oh, my Lord. Yes, yes, yes!
Congratulations to our race winner tonight, Mr. Mark Allen Bivens. What a job there by the 76. And, man, just what do you say? This is one of those heartwarming, great moments in racing that this is why we do it. This is why we run the races. And incredible job here by Mark Allen Bivens. Now we go to your second place interview with a guy that, again, is going to be heartbroken that he came this close, but he picks up good points. We know he's going to be going for the regular season championship. No doubt about that. He's going to be happy with where he finished tonight, but the question is, how disappointed is he going to be by coming up that short there, that close by what? I think the margin is going to be like a 10th or so when we go to your post-race results. But let's just get your graphic up here for Mr. Nick Nickerson, your second place finisher here tonight at Daytona. I don't know what's happening here. Just a second, folks. Let's get a bit of a reset here. That would be it. Okay, there we go. Got that fixed. Awesome. Okay, we will put your ticker up top. We're going to go over your full race results in a moment, but we just so much hype there over the Mark Allen Bivens win that we didn't get a moment. So we'll go a moment to talk about it. We'll go over your final results, but they're going to scroll above your head up atop the screen. So those are the official results. The +1 lap thing might be wrong, but those are your final results. So keep an eye up there to see where your favorite driver finished there in the end. But here we go, second interview of the night here with the runner-up finisher, Mr. Nick Nickerson. He now joins us in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
How's it going, man?
It is going pretty well, Nick, and man, what a drive from here from start to finish. It doesn't get much closer than that. In the end, in those last 2 laps, Mark Allen got in front of you there on the restart. You settled in behind him and just seemed to push him to the end. Was there any strategy to try to get by on the outside, or just what were those last 2 laps like from your perspective?
Not even an inkling. I just wanted to finish this race with good points and have an actual good start to my season, and not 40 points behind. So now I'm 40 points ahead of everybody else that I'll be racing in the season. So I am more than happy with that finish. Too bad we don't get bonus points for incident free, because I actually did incident free too, which I think is a first. But yeah, man, that was a wild race. Start to finish, brain is fried from just having to sit there and focus so much. But congratulations to Mark, man. We were in a position there. I went down to his room and I started talking to him, because I didn't want to be in the lead and have to be relying on somebody behind me to keep me in the front. So I was like, hey man, we start on the outside, jump down in front, and I'll push you to the end of the race. And he did that. And I told him maybe try to clean up your laps a little bit, try not to hit the apron, drive like a foot off the yellow line. And he did it. He did it flawlessly. And I was able to, we just
Yeah, if there's one thing you know about Mark-Allen Bivens from him being the most improved driver last year, it's he only gets better and better and figures things out as he goes along. But yeah, so awesome that you were able to work with him there at the end. And yeah, you two you were really unstoppable off that last restart. Really interesting the way that last restart actually worked out, because you two and the two behind you there, Greenwell and Mathis, you guys just took off. The top four there were gone. So here at Daytona, again, we've seen you in the past at the super speedways. You've been in a favorable spot at the end, and then it all kind of falls apart. And I know that mindset you're talking about, where you're going for points, you're trying to stay up front. How do you, as a driver, give yourself the best odds to avoid those wrecks we saw all night and put yourself in the most favorable spot? And how are you trying to just go for points there at the end, strategy wise? Oh, hey Nick, you got a copy?
Oh, you got me?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. I'm not sure where I left off there, so I'll just start over. You know, it's kind of a dynamic situation. Sometimes you want to be on the inside, but you know, if cars spin out on the high ends, they'll come down and hit you. So you think, okay, I want to be on the high ends, but if somebody spins out on the bottom, they can come up and hit you. So there's really no safe place in the track. It's all about just being next to people, or you know, front and back of people that you kind of trust, or that you think that you can get out of a corner without bunching up. Yeah, there's nothing you can really do in order to like guarantee your survival, honestly.
Right.
It's just the luck of the draw. You know, roll the dice, see what happens.
Speaking of roll the dice, we go to Las Vegas next week, but we're not going to talk about that yet. No, definitely the luck finally fell your way tonight, Nick, and really glad you were able to come away with good points. And you're talking about the big picture already. We have the regular season championship, of course, this year. Now, Kevin, on behalf of Perfect Shine Auto Spa, is sponsoring a prize for that. So you were the regular season champion last year, and I believe the year before that. You know what it's like to rattle off wins, rattle off points in the regular season. But as we come back to the Xfinity cars, what was your experience with the Xfinity cars in Season 8? Who are some guys you think you'll have to watch out for as we return to a car that's a little bit tougher to drive? And what do you think the road to the regular season championship looks like for you this year?
I mean, I think it's going to be pretty much the same heavy hitters. It all depends on who wants to put the time in for practice and be ahead of the curve, you know, come race day. You know, Kevin, I believe that he's going to be showing a lot of speed. You know, in the off season, we ran some races and he was doing really good. Ricky is going to be right there. You know, this whole GFR team's quite the powerhouse, I believe. So now that the season's actually starting next week, I'm looking forward to seeing where we sit with everybody else. And you know, Cody there is still looking for that first win from over a year. He did win Bristol on the off season, but I don't know if he considers that a count. But he was looking good too. He had a little bad luck today, unfortunately. Yeah, man. I mean, I try not to analyze too much because I don't want to get my hopes up later on. You know, I just have to take the information in and you know, deal with it in a time. So.
Yep, just got to go week by week, race by race, yeah. And last year you kind of found yourself week by week picking up a win every other week, it seemed. So if you can find that sort of consistency this season at tracks that aren't 2.5 miles and largely based on the luck, then I like your chances. So well, it's good to talk to you again, Nick. Because I was talking to you in the off season this year in a different series that, of course, you immediately came in and won the first race of. So it's I have the feeling for those of you that maybe haven't watched this series before or don't know much about Nick, expect to hear his voice quite a bit this coming season, but I don't mean to jinx you. Like I feel like I may have jinxed Cody last season. So I hope you guys have just as fun battles as you did back in Season 8 this year. And generally, I wish you the absolute best of luck, and I really appreciate the approach you took tonight, picking up good points, and you're putting yourself on the right foot to start this year. But you know what to do at the end of the interview. Any friends, family you want to shout out, sponsors you want to mention? I know you got a lot of people supporting the GFR Racing team this year. So anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out? Now's your time.
Yeah, man. First off, everybody that's watching, it looks like we have the old crew back. I was hoping that people would still remember us after a couple months of off season, but I was glad to see everybody back in the chat. Got to thank everybody that participates. This was actually a pretty decent event. I mean, yeah, we had some yellows, but from where I was sitting, it seemed like pretty dang good racing. So that is awesome to see. Can't wait to see how our mile and a half program works. And sponsors, man, we got a whole list of sponsors supporting GFR this year, between Chris Hamilton, me, Kevin, and Ricky. Big Red, their return, that's awesome. I freaking love making paints for Big Red Propane. Neighbors Pool Services, VIP Glass, Advanced Auto Parts, Technit. We also got O'Reilly's, and of course Perfect Sign Auto Spa. I mean, all those guys are awesome, and we're we're looking forward to supporting them and showing off their brands on your broadcast, man. And also, Marshall, I appreciate you coming back for the broadcast. Can't wait to watch this one.
Perfect. No, I think it's going to be a fun one. There, it was season beginning broadcast. You know the deal. It's always getting through some rough patches, getting the cobwebs off. But no, I think it was really great. And again, the finish there with you and Mark was something to behold. So it's such a great visual. That's absolutely going in the intro pack for next week. But just Nick, really happy for you, man. Even if it's not the win that maybe we were expecting there in the last couple laps with how quick you were running, you get the good points. And I was tired of the first race of the year seeing. Thinking about how sad you would be after the very first race and trying to work your way back. So to start off on a high, hopefully it only continues to go up from there. So best of luck for the rest of your season, Nick.
I will mention one more thing too, is the cards are kind of stacked against me this year because I have to look again, but I'm pretty sure I got the most bonus points the past 2 seasons, and that's what really helped me propel through the through the regular season. Yeah. This year, there's only 1 point for leading a lap and 1 point for fastest qualifier. All the other bonus points are gone, so it's all about finishing good. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out. No more getting 5 points for being incident free or anything. It's all going to be race positions, who has the best average race finish. So give me a good season.
Well, if the guy that I believe had 10 wins last season has to worry about just purely race finishes, then I feel like there are certainly worse burdens you could have to overcome. So Nick, I have the utmost confidence that again we'll be talking to you plenty this season. But again, you proved tonight. You proved tonight why the patience and the poise there is making that 2 car so quick year in year out. So best of luck this season, man. Best of luck to all of GFR Racing, and I hope you and Ricky Hart there have some fun battles. Good to see the 1 car joining that camp with you guys.
Yeah, man, it's a blast, man. I appreciate all you do, and congratulations to Mark again and his family that's watching. But that was fun to watch, so I'll catch you next week.
Awesome, catch you next week. See you, Nick.
Take care.
There you go. That'll bring us to the end of your second place interview with Mr. Nick Nickerson. I don't believe we will have Robert Mathis here in the booth. He was your 3rd place finisher there. Picks up the final spot in tonight's podium here at Daytona, but I don't believe he's available in the Discord. So that may bring us to an end. We're running a little bit long. These races here at Daytona are typically a little bit longer. Yeah, it looks like no Robert Mathis there in the chat, but absolutely, if you're watching, Robert, if you're watching back in the future, absolutely congratulations tonight on working your way back through there late. You were... Whew, there we go. We're good. You were working your way back through there as the race went on, and it's always good to see guys that have to come from a little bit of adversity here at the Super Speedway races, but in the end find themselves in a good spot. So congratulations to Robert Mathis. He finishes in 3rd, and then in 4th position, narrowly missing out on the top 3 is Jason Greenwell, who I believe he's still hanging around, but we've run a little bit long tonight, and I don't mean to call anything too early. I don't mean to jinx people. Typical commentators jinx, but I am very confident that we will be seeing a little bit more of the 83 car this season. Jason's only been getting better and better, and I'm very confident he's going to have a pretty good year for himself this year. So again, one more time, congratulations to your race winner tonight, Mr. Mark Allen Bivens. For one more time, we're going to go to your final results here, courtesy of Perfect Shine Auto Spot. Let's go to your final results here for your season opener here at Daytona. That's the grid. There we go. That's your final points, or your final standings here at Daytona. That's the wrong graphic. This is the right graphic. There we go. Race winner tonight, the Geezer Authentics 100 at Daytona, Mr. Mark Allen Bivens. First career win. What a moment. You could just hear the emotion, hear the excitement in his voice post-race. Incredible for such an improving and constantly evolving driver like himself. Nick Nickerson in the 2 car and comes home in the 2 spot for GFR Racing. Again, like he said, just comfortable to settle in, pick up some points, and he did so in spades, finishing in 2nd. Robert Mathis barely beats Jason Greenwell there to the 3rd place spot there for the podium, but he picks up his first podium of the series. Good to see the 3 car back. It's been a couple of years since we've seen the 3 car. I think probably season 8. I think he made a couple appearances last year, but hopefully back full time this year. And Robert Mathis for H&M Motorsports picks up a first podium of the season. That is Greenwell and Nolan Gross rounding off the top 5, one of Mark Allen Bivens' Double M Motorsports teammates. Same with Keegan Clark, who finishes there in 6th with a partially broken number 74 car. David Lakey there in the 84 finishes in 7th, with Cale Zook right behind him in 8th. Eddie Hagge, your pole sitter tonight, finishes in 9th for BC Sim Sports, just ahead of Jackson Knock, another Double M Motorsports driver. 4 Double M Motorsports teammates there, a team made up of primarily younger drivers in the series, all in the top 10. Very impressive tonight. Dan Heisey and Curtis Yancey, who led quite a number of laps, did Curtis Yancey. They finish in 11th and 12th there at the end. Heisey recovering from a late wreck. Steve Ulrich and Jonas Lazatter finishing in 13th and 14th. Then it's Daniel Stein rounding off the top 15. Then it's a significant drop back to Co Canales there after that, followed by Bill Hales, then Joshua McQuiggan. After that, we got Nicholas Bingham, who had a really good night tonight for himself, but unfortunately only comes home in 19th, just ahead of John Graham there to round off the top 20. Charles Oberg returns to the series there, up 21 spots from qualifying 42nd. He finished in 21st, just ahead of Benjamin Lacey in 22nd. Andrew Zook, Benny Hogan, and Michael Ramos would round off your top 25. Then it's Hayden Paul, Garrett Hall, Brett Grunwald. Again, totally deserved better than that tonight. Deserved better than a 28th place performance tonight for GBR Racing, but unfortunately that is all he was meant for at the end there after getting involved in that late wreck. But I have very high hopes for the 18 car. Really looking forward to seeing what he does in the future. After Grunwald, it's Brett Guzik there in the 29 spot. Your defending series champion. Guess the season started off on the wrong foot just after that early wreck there with Tony Hilbrands. Things just never seem to recover for him, unfortunately. Ricky Hart Jr., the same situation. So both guys going to round off the top 30, and those are probably going to be some of the guys Nick was talking about there, about some of his series rivals that he was able to get the jump on tonight. After that, it's Ismail Padilla in his debut tonight, finishing in 31st, ahead of Tony Hilbrands, we just talked about a moment ago, in 32nd. Cody Welch there, another late race wreck, ran into quick repairs. He finished in 33rd, ahead of Kevin Foster in 34th. Christopher Ferraro, we saw there early, having kind of a tough night there. He comes home in 35th, just ahead of Jason Rome in 36th. Jacob Abreu, followed by Terry Condis, Aaron Moore, Connor Zook, Bill Harkins, Michael Campbell, Mason Flagar in 43rd, Trey Ellis in 44th, Presley Gilson in 45th, and Anthony Caetano was your final driver to make the show tonight after your preliminary qualifying events. Sean Britt, Gary Wright, Christopher Hamilton, Connor Gibson, and Pete Gilson were the drivers tonight that were knocked out in the preliminary qualifiers and did not make the feature race. Well, that'll cap it off for us tonight. And again, I won't keep you guys around too much longer because it has been a long night tonight and hopefully a really fun one. Hopefully you guys have really enjoyed tonight's season opener here in the Bandit Racing League. Again, I am so excited to be back. Hope you guys could tell I felt like I kind of got back in the rhythm there as the broadcast went along. That is much more of what you can expect from somebody who really wants to go into commentary. I'd love to do this professionally. I'd love to make this my career in 10 or 20 years' time for cars that perhaps aren't quite so virtual. Before we go too far, we're going to run through your schedule. And first, we got to thank all of our lovely race sponsors and our broadcast partners that make this entire thing possible. First of all, Geezer Authentics, again, tonight's race sponsor. We want to thank you guys for providing really cool merch. Again, we'll show you the merch one more time for those of you that want a really cool t-shirt. Some people in the chat were talking about stuff they've got before. Some Rogue Energy sweepstake prizes. Again, really cool stuff. I'm drinking out of my Rogue Energy glass as we speak. Hopefully they'll work together with us this season for another sort of triple header trivia based event. I believe that is already in the works. So if you like Bandit trivia from last year, get ready to see that back again this year. Again, we got phone cases. You can see it on your screen right now for all makes and models. Hopefully your phone of choice is there, or if you have a Samsung. We got some drinkware. We got mugs. We got a cup. We got so much there. Geezer Authentics has everything you could possibly want Bandit Racing League related for individual drivers or just general Bandit Racing League merchandise merch. And I imagine we'll see the driver lineup t-shirt from last season with the names of every driver in the series on it. So that way your favorite driver is sure to be on a piece of merch you buy. I'm sure we'll see those back before too long soon. We just want to make sure we know the official driver lineup before we make any of those. Apex Sim Racing, new partner to the series. Sincerely appreciate it. It is so cool that we have them working with us this season. Remember, use code BANDIT at Apex Sim Racing at the link in the description below. Just click the link. I believe it'll take you straight to it and auto-apply the promo code to get yourself some really cool, really valuable sim racing merchandise and any accessories, like, again, a button box, a wheelbase for a direct drive wheel, of course the premium steering wheels themselves. Great stuff. If and when, which hopefully is soon, I go to upgrade my sim rig a little bit for my own racing endeavors, that is absolutely the first place I'll look, and you get a promo code for, I believe, 10% off your purchase. So it doesn't get much better than that. Go cash in on that. You're a Bandit Racing League viewer for a reason, and along come the perks courtesy of Apex Sim Racing. Berkshire Auto Spa sponsors anything related to run-throughs, final results, anything like that. We sincerely thank them on behalf of Kevin Foster. Thank you to Perfect Shine Auto Spa, and they're going to play a large role sponsoring this series this season, so we thank them as one of our best partners. Of course, Full Send Racing Network, that is us. You see it down below. That is our logo. Full Send Racing Network, that is my channel. I'm Marshall Crocker Jr. I'm your host, your broadcaster, your producer. I'll be here all throughout the season, but we're going to have a rotating kind of guest spot for commentators. If you're new to the series, we often have different faces each and every week showing up, so expect to see some different guys substituting in and out so far this season, or for the remainder of the year, I should say. Then EvanWallMedia.com. We were talking to Evan earlier. I know he was having some storm issues, and unfortunately his connection dropped out. So hopefully he's doing okay. Hopefully everything's okay down there in the lovely Alabama. But thank you for everything he does for the series, making all these custom graphics. EvanWallMedia.com. Go check him out. Links, as always, in the description below. Go support a guy that does a ton for our series. Finally, just want to show you the season schedule before we get too far, so you know what to expect in the coming weeks. Daytona this week, of course, just finished up. Then it's Las Vegas Motor Speedway next week on April the 6th, just after my birthday this Friday. April 6th, next week on Wednesday at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We'll be back here, same place, same channel, same time, 9 o'clock. Get ready for your first non-super speedway of the season. Then Circuit of the Americas Auto Club rounds off the month of April. Then we go to Dover, Nashville Super Speedway, Indianapolis, and Kansas will bring us to the end of March. There's the rest of your schedule, and the playoffs kick off, I believe, just before Darlington there on the 17th of August. With that, folks, that'll bring us to the end of tonight's broadcast. I want to sincerely thank each and every one of you for watching tonight and
Hang
supporting
on, Marshall.
us. Oh, we got Bill Harkins in the broadcast booth.
Yes,
we are not
I got
over.
to cut in there on you, buddy.
Yeah,
Sorry
no
about
worries.
that. First of all, man, once I got knocked out of the race, was able to spend more time watching the broadcast. And killer job as always. Right on par. Phenomenal. Thank you. Wow. Bivens from 41st.
Yep.
That's... I literally had goosebumps watching the last lap, And then my video card decided to not pick up them at the halfway point of the backstretch. It's like, oh my God. So I got them right as they were coming to the start-finish line. So that was awesome. Want to thank you, and everybody that participated in this race tonight. Been a long off season, but we're definitely on a roll now. More things to come, and man, psyched with the way that this turned out tonight. Thank you very much.
No, it's absolutely my pleasure. I sincerely appreciate it, and I couldn't have asked for a better way to start off the first race of the season than that. Congrats again to Mark Allen, and Bill, you know better than anybody from last season with everything he did to win Most Improved Driver. He's put in the work, and it paid off for him tonight.
Oh my God, I think he's a real talent. I mean, not just here in iRacing, but also with his kart racing. And his family is 100% behind him. I could just imagine his mom, Carla, was just probably bouncing around the living room, just on that last lap. I could just imagine. So, couldn't happen to a better family. Did Nick say, because I didn't hear his interview yet, but did he say that that's his best restrictor plate finish?
I believe that's true, yeah. Which is crazy.
So I'm sitting there as they're coming around, I'm thinking, is Nick gonna do the nasty and turn him? But he didn't. So great race. Glad those two. Really happy with how it turned out. Not happy with my outcome, and apologize to the whole field for my blend up into the corner there when I decided to take a bunch of them out. I had got loose in 3 and 4, and I was trying to stay to the apron, but yet maintain some speed, and kind of screwed up there. So yeah, even the guy who owns the league can make it a mess sometimes, but kick ass, man. I'm real happy. I'm stoked. Thank you very much.
No, it's absolutely my pleasure. I'm so excited, so happy to be back here in the series and calling these races, seeing all the old faces, hearing the familiar voices before the race. It's going to be a really great year for season 10, and I sincerely can't wait. So thank you, Bill, for everything you do for the series, and let's get back at it next week at Las Vegas. We got a couple weeks to go practice there, and we'll see who can come out on top in the first more technical event of the season next week. So
and I did miss one thing. So both of us are celebrating birthdays.
Are we?
So mine's technically in 40 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever.
Oh, hey, happy birthday. Yeah. Happy early birthday.
24 minutes. And then yours is the next day. So, we should celebrate together.
We should. We'll figure something out. We'll get a session going on
yes,
maybe Saturday
happy
or
birthday,
something.
man.
Thank you. Happy birthday to you too, Bill. And
have a good night. Thank you.
You too. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you to series coordinator, series founder Bill Harkins, and he often jumps up here to give us some context and to talk to us, and it's always good to have his presence. So thank you, Bill, so much for everything you do for the series. I know it was a really long off season. I wish it had been a little bit quicker, but you do what you can, and well, we were able to get back here, and we were privy to a really great race won by a really deserving driver. So that's about it. We won't hold you guys up any further. It's been a long night tonight. Go enjoy the rest of your evening out there, anybody on the East Coast, and same with everybody out there out West, where it's only 8:37 at night. So that's it. That'll round it off. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. We're back right next week, 9 p.m., same place, Full Send Racing Network, for the race at Las Vegas. Going to be a different format, proper qualifying, no heat races you're going to miss. You're going to be here for every second of it, and I can't wait to be back here. For myself, for Evan Wall, for everybody that helps out with this series, again, Bill Harkins, we will see you very shortly next week. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. We'll be back very soon for the second race of the Bandit Racing League Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series Season 10 at Las Vegas. Have a good week, everyone.